Bookie Beatdown coming at you. Paul, Cody, UFC Vegas 117 is a card that is happening on Saturday in Las Vegas at the warehouse, the Meta Apex. Lot of discussion in the Bookie Beatdown Discord about worst cards of all time, yada yada yada. There's been some really bad cards, and there's been some bad cards in recent memory. I'm not willing to call this the worst card ever, but it's quite uninspiring. Historically unintriguing, maybe I can say on this card. I'm going to watch every single one of them. I'm going to watch every single one of the KSW cards. On the Octagon card, there's a 50-year-old woman with the nickname The Housewife. I'm going to watch that fight. So I'm not too concerned about the level of competition, yada, yada, yada. UFC Winnipeg was thrown around. I think the GOAT, and I think you're going to agree, the GOAT worst card of all time was UFC Dublin. Paddy Holohan versus Smolka, which replaced Miocic versus Rothwell and Duffy versus Poirier. Duffy was actually a favorite over Dustin Poirier way back when. Crazy sport. Crazy sport. We break down every single week, but we never miss a card. Cody, how are you doing this week?
Yeah, it's funny because that was always like the benchmark for worst card in UFC history. And not bad on the standpoint of like it wasn't entertaining. There's been some plenty worse cards just from a name standpoint. But then yeah, this year it seems like every other week that's the debate I'm seeing when I go online. It's is this now the worst card in UFC history? So like that fight night in Winnipeg, it was hounded pretty bad. The fight night before it was hounded pretty bad. Of course, this one. I see what people are saying, but I agree with your points. Like I'm watching far less quality fights than this every week. So it doesn't matter. But I think from like just the casual viewer, I only watch UFCs. It's like you got two guys that are ranked on the bottom of the top 15 in the main event, and then that's it. Like there's not one single. That's a lie. There's a couple women fighters that are ranked in the top 15 because there's only 15 of them in the division. Outside of that, it's a lot of these like fringe top 20, fringe top 30, top contenders. I like Tommy Gantt, a little bit older, but to me, he's a good prospect. Outside of that, Malcolm Wellmaker, he's a good prospect, but they're both a little bit older, and there's not any of these bona fide, I think this guy's going to make a title run, or I think this guy's going to make some real noise. It just feels like they're jamming a card together. But of course, you got Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano this weekend over on Netflix, so I feel like the UFC would have maybe liked to have taken a week off after last week's pay-per-view, but they want to counter program, and so we're going to throw up this little fight night card, and to anybody that doesn't have Netflix or doesn't want to watch 40-year-old women, then you can tune over here and see Milk Costa versus Arnold, which is a fine fight. Duho Choi versus Wiley Cat Dan Santos. Come on. Gonna be a good fight. The return of Wellmaker versus Malcolm Wellmaker versus Juan Diaz, which is going to be a good fight. So like there's enough reasons to maybe steal some of that market share. And of course, just the content machine keeps on running Paul Shaughnessy. So 13 more fights to talk about, but we just got to nail the right ones.
I doubt they're stealing very much market share. In terms of like name brands, name recognition, UFC is getting absolutely mogged by MVP. And then MVP's got like some other fights, like Saladin Pernas is coming over stateside to actually fight after, such a long run in KSW.
Yeah, but do you think a casual fan knows who he is, or do they know who Duho Choi is? So it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you can steal some of that just off the casual.
Casual fans know who the top 3 fights on that MVP card are.
Yeah,
right?
That's fair, but also I don't know
if
you go to a bar or I don't know a restaurant. I don't know. Can they put Netflix on? Like, can you watch that in an establishment? I don't know. Maybe just having a UFC on, you're going to get some of those people that go out to consume fights, and they're going to just end up watching the UFC instead. I don't know if someone doesn't have Netflix. I've not met very many, but if you just flat out don't have Netflix, but you do have Paramount Plus for whatever reason, you're going to watch it as well. But also just, I think people tweeting out and people being like, oh my God, did you just see that sweet knockout on the prelims of MVP? Maybe not. You might be more inclined to be like, I've got the UFC on and there was some great finish from somebody that you may have heard of. So I'm not 100% sure on the business model or the strategy for it, but it seems like don't let them just have their own weekend where they can run unobscured, have a UFC event. And what I noticed for the MVP marketing is the first couple of weeks, it was like all over the place. Like Ronda said this, and they just added this new fight, and they're saying it's going to be better than the White House. And then the last month, it's like I've not heard from anybody but Ronda. She is obsessed with Hunter Campbell. Like, can't stop talking about the guy. The promotion of the card is based around how Ronda Rousey is the new Dana White. I don't know. It's sad. And I've hardly heard anything about it. So I'm sure they'll try to ramp it up this week, try to boost up some sales, but If it wasn't on Netflix, nobody was going to watch it. Because it's on Netflix,
Everybody's going to watch
everybody's going to watch it. But they may also have it as background noise while they're watching the UFC fights as well. So I think you're just trying to disrupt the momentum.
You're going to get a different crew. Like my brother, who doesn't tune into UFC. There's no way he is tuning in to UFC Vegas 117. He'll probably, because he has Netflix, and when he opens up Netflix on Saturday night, it'll be like, oh, there's live fights. Ronda Rousey, I know her, and he'll probably turn it on. You're gonna get a totally different crowd over there. I will be watching both.
Yeah, of course.
That's how we roll. So anyway, all of this business talk, everything like that. Let's get down to business for UFC Vegas 117. We got Arnold Allen taking on Costa in the main event. Arnold Allen minus 155 favorite. The comeback on Melk is plus 135. Who you got here, buddy?
I'm interested in taking the plus money on Costa, who's obviously in a really good spot in his career right now. He's thriving. He's got a lot of motivation. The results are definitely starting to show. And then on one hand, it's like, he went the distance to Julian Erosa. He's got no power. His next two fights, he knocks out Morgan Sherrier and Dan Ige, both inside the first round. So this guy's got some dynamic technique. His striking volume is a little bit higher than Arnold Allen's. His takedown defense, certainly not bad, but Arnold Allen's not really one to engage in the wrestling, the offensive wrestling for the most part. So I think he's got past the victory, or at the very least to keep this thing close. And at plus 135, he's just, maybe the side that I would rather lean on. Where I'm trying to get confident, or where I'm not exactly feeling it, is that the 5-round nature of the fight. I'm not exactly sure that Costa's got deep cardio. Like if you look back historically throughout his career, his fight with Steve Garcia, he went 7 for 9 in takedowns in the first round. My bad. Two of 9, missed on 7. 2 of 9 in takedowns in the very first round. Gets like 4 minutes and 40 seconds of cage control in the very first round. Wins the first round. Second round against Steve Garcia, he's absolutely gassed from trying to offensively wrestle. He gets knocked out. Well, that's okay, because Steve Garcia has a tendency to do that to people. That's fair, but let's go back to that Julian Erosa fight. First 2 rounds, he's looking really good. Double him up in both rounds. The third round, he starts to tire again. Julian Erosa unanimously won the third round on all 3 judges' scorecards. So he's not fought in a 5-round fight before, whereas Arnold Allen has. Arnold Allen has fought in the better level of guys in these higher level spots. And for Milk, knocking out Dan Ige in the first round, oh man, that's a big one. And even knocking out Morgan Sherrier in the first round, it's sweet. The wins over Christian Rodriguez, that did go 3 rounds. The win over Julian Erosa, it did go 3. That's all fair, but we've not seen him really extended past that. You've seen a lot of the times it's 2-1 Milk Costa after 3, and then the fight ends. Arnold Allen kind of does a little bit of everything right. His takedown defense is not phenomenal, but his get-up game is very, very good. His wrestling is fairly okay. His striking is good. He's a little bit low volume for my liking, but of course the technique is definitely there. You look at the fact that he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He's won 1 fight in the last 4 years. That's not inspiring. But of course, John Silva, Movsar Evlov, Max Holloway, they're all top guys. They're all, creme de la creme. And on top of that, he won the 3rd round and won the 2nd round against Max Holloway. He won the 1st round against Movsar Evlov, 3rd round against Evlov, sorry. He won the 1st round against John Silva. So yes, he's losing these fights, but he's fighting the absolute best guys of the division, and he's not getting shut out. He's capable of winning rounds. It's just, unfortunately, Max Holloway's a little too good. Unfortunately, John Silva's a little too strong. Unfortunately, Movsar Evlov's wrestling is just a little too sharp. He's 1 step behind, but he's not completely out of it. Against Milk Costa, it very much represents a step down in competition. Milk Costa doesn't wrestle like Movsar Evlov. Milk Costa doesn't strike like Max Holloway. So if you're capable of winning rounds against the best guys, you can keep this thing ultra competitive versus Milk Costa as well. And the longer it goes is where you would assume that Arnold Allen will be able to lock it in. But yeah, and under that narrative, I'd rather just bet Arnold Allen in the live market instead of betting minus 155 right now. If he's down the first round, if he loses, it's 1-1 going into the third. If he's down 2-1 going into the fourth, maybe there's an opportunity to jump on him there if you think Milk is tiring. But outside of that, it just feels like dog or pass. The one issue with Arnold is when you watch him versus John Silva, he's a step behind in the strike count every time. Him versus Movsar Evloev, he's giving up those takedowns at key moments. Him versus Max Holloway, he has a good round. One judge actually gave him 2 rounds. I don't know how, but one judge actually gave it a 48-47. Point being is that he's slowly just, getting outworked throughout the duration of the rounds. Against Milk Costa, I feel like Milk Costa's work rate being slightly higher, him being able to mix in some offensive wrestling of his own to neutralize him, that he's going to give him a fight. It's going to be a close competitive fight. If it was near even money, I'd take Arnold Allen. That plus money, I almost feel like taking Costa, but the 5-round nature of it's really got me scared off him because I got this nagging suspicion he's going to tire Paul. So unless you can talk me out of it, it almost seems like you kind of got to go with Arnold Allen. But I don't want to bet this minus 155 right now. I would much rather bet it in the live market. For PRP purposes, I got to take somebody. I don't know. I could still be persuaded. But as of right now, I'm feeling like Arnold Allen edges this thing out 48-47, 3 rounds to 2.
Yeah, fair. I don't really have I'm not too passionate about the main event, to be perfectly honest. Melk is a guy I've faded a whole bunch, to be perfect. Maybe not against Sherrier, I didn't, but I think I lost money because he wasn't able to put away Julian Erosa. And then of course I think I had overs in this Dan Ige fight plus Dan Ige,
sure.
and then the spinning back kick. I mean, a bit of a questionable stoppage, but like beautiful placed kick. Like you can't really fault a ref too much for reacting, trying to protect the fighter in that type of situation. Then there was the Andre Feely fight. That one was an absolute disaster from Feely. I've just been dead wrong on this guy, and he's been on one hell of a run. Interestingly, obviously, Arnold Allen, I believe, has not been knocked out. He has been wobbled. He has been hurt in some fights. I don't know. Has he even been knocked down? He's never been knocked down in the UFC. He's been hurt. He's been wobbled. Don't get me wrong, but is Melk just going to run through him? I don't know. I don't really want to stand in front of Melk because he does seem to be kind of putting it all together after a guy who I watched on the regional scene and was not overly impressed with. Pre-flop, if I was forced to make a play, I'd probably click Costa, but for me, it's going to be another situation like you. I'm going to be mostly paying attention to this one in live markets and kind of taking the coward's way out in that respect. So let's move on to a fight, hopefully, that we're less cowardly about. We got Duho Choi taking on Daniel Santos. Daniel Santos, Daniel Willie Cat is a minus 170 favorite to come back on the Korean Superman because he's like 35 now. I can't call him the Superboy. Duho Choi is plus 145. Who you got?
I feel like skill for skill, Duho Choi's got it all, man. The guy can grapple. He's laser precise with his striking. I mean, he's got high ring IQ. His pace and his durability when it's on its peak is quite good. But yeah, the inactivity's kind of got me a little bit bugged. Of course, he did have the 2 year of mandatory service in the Korean army, and that's fair. You see most Korean fighters go through that. But even since then, there's just been a lot of inactivity. He's fought essentially 2 times in the last 3 years, being a second-round knockout win over Bill Algeo, where he looked good, and then he really looked good against Nate Landwehr. But Landwehr, of course, is at the tail end of his career, and he's very slow. Like, he wants to brawl, but that speed's not there anymore, and the durability's not there anymore. So Nate Landwehr's been increasingly having these poor performances just based on guys are faster than him. They're going to beat him to the punch. And he's not able to really take those punches as well he has in the past. So as much as they are 2 good-looking wins, there's not a ton there. And then, of course, if you go back to the third fight back, which is a long time ago now against Kyle Nelson, it's a draw. There's an argument that Duho Choi should have won that fight. But all the same, it's like he's getting taken down and controlled and out-muscled by a guy like Kyle Nelson. When I look at Daniel Santos got 2 things going for him. One, he's the Korean killer at this point. Like, he's beaten Korean fighters in his last 2 fights. I don't actually think I've ever seen a UFC fighter win 3 straight fights in the UFC or even fight 3 straight Korean opponents. Wiley Cat, maybe this is this little niche, Paul. But beyond that, I mean, he's very physically strong. He's good at blending in his takedown entries with his striking. He can brawl in the pocket, but he's also good at just pressuring forward and kind of not letting you escape, cutting off the ring, keeping that pressure on you, staying in your face, and then putting up some fairly high volume. I feel like that's all going to be good stuff that are going to pressure Duho Choi. You look at his fight with Johnny Munoz, BJJ Black Belt, he took him down 3 times. John Castaneda wrestles out of Minnesota, took him down twice. Jung Young Lee took him down 6 times. And that fight especially, it was just like, Wiley Cat, we always worry about the weight cut, and he's taking some fight on a really short notice. And it's like, is this guy going to gas? But really, there's no reason to believe that he's got a suspect gas tank. I will admit that last fight with Jung Sung Yu, the first round, he does not look all that good. He's a tad bit slow. He's not getting his timing. He's getting touched up a little bit. Second round, he comes up and he puts that physicality to good use, pressures him, and lands that knockout punch. Duho Choi has been hit. He has been rocked. He doesn't like to particularly brawl inside the pocket, but also he's not the most physically strong guy going. So I feel like Santos can pressure in and land those big heavy blows, but also shoot the takedowns, neutralize this guy, outmuscle him a little bit, and just make it a little more definitive. It's more so that Santos is fighting fairly regularly, getting good reps in, and improving, no doubt about it. He already seems like a fairly well-rounded guy, but he's been active. So I feel like he'll have a better chance of getting off to a good start in this fight and continuing the trend, as opposed to Doo Choi, which Bilal Jay is tall and skinny.
And can't stop a takedown.
He cannot stop a takedown to save his life. Nate Landwehr is just a
Washed.
brawler who's he's very slow at this point, and he can't really take those shots. I remember watching Nate Landwehr versus Doo Choi, and even rewatching it, you can just see the frustration on Landwehr the whole time. He's like, I can't hit the guy because like I step in and he's gone. He's too fast. Well, Daniel Santos is not like that. He's highly explosive himself. So if he can just catch him in one of the entries or back him up to the cage, put the pressure on him, get to the hips, take him down, he's going to be able to fight like a Kyle Nelson type game plan, but not fade and not get stung and not get hurt and really just pressure this guy and put it on him. So I'm a big Doo Choi fan. I wouldn't say he's my boy. I would say I'm a very big fan of his. I enjoy his body of work. I've always supported him. I've always cheered for him. He seems like a good guy, but yeah, it's difficult in a sport like this, not competing fairly regularly, then jumping in the mix as a 35-year-old man, taking on a guy that's just coming into his physical prime, who's on a 4-fight winning streak, who's been looking more dangerous every time out. It just seems like maybe Santos is catching him at the right point in the road. So I take Wiley Cap, but yeah, it's going to be a fun, exciting fight. I just feel like the Brazilian's going to get his hand raised in the end.
Yeah, I got Wiley Cat. I threw him into a parlay a little bit earlier in the week when he was like minus 143. Did I need to parlay it? No, but I was just like, get some extra action in on things. So I was looking for somebody to fade Shauna Bannon with. I know, Chick Chalk, a woman who hasn't fought in the UFC or hasn't won in the UFC as a favorite. We'll get to that at the end, but just could never get to Shauna Bannon. So I was looking for, it was like Daniel Santos and Cagliari. I parlayed that at minus 143 on the line here. And he's minus 170 now. Maybe it's creeping back towards like where it probably should be, but I see kind of, Doo Choi is just so inactive, and Willie Cat's kind of been my guy since he came into the UFC's. Ton of action, super exciting guy. Could be absolute fireworks, but I think maybe he could lean on the wrestling like what you're seeing there to get himself out of some tight situations. I know he's going to have a pretty quick start to this fight, so as he does in all of his fights, Willie Cat is also the side for me. Moving on down, we got Malcolm Wellmaker taking on Juan Diaz. Wellmaker is a minus 275 favorite to come back on Juan Diaz, about plus 230 we got.
Yeah, it's not the easiest comeback fight for Malcolm Wellmaker. I think we all rate him as a prospect, but at the same time, you're coming off your first, UFC defeat and took some air out of your tires, and now they're giving you kind of an unknown guy in Juan Diaz that's extremely dangerous. Like BJJ black belt, his grappling is solid. He's got a number of fights. He's only 27 years old, Peruvian, solid durability, solid gas tank. And then, of course, you saw him in the Contender Series. He wins by spinning back elbow against Wong Sol Kwan, who's not a bad regional guy. I mean, it's not a bad win at all. It just goes to show that the versatility of this guy. If he takes you down, he's going to make it a problem for you. He loves the back takes, loves rear naked chokes, has a aggressive submission game when he's in a good spot. And then on the feet, I feel like Wellmaker's a lot sharper than him, a lot rangier than him, maybe even a little bit faster than him. But this guy comes forward with that Peruvian aggression and durability. So like he can take a punch. And he's dynamic. He's dangerous. He's trying to throw spinning techniques. He's trying to put pressure on you. He's trying to break you down. That all is going to make him a dangerous fighter in this spot against Wellmaker. Wellmaker's a sniper, no doubt about it. But like the problem with being a sniper is when you got one of these guys that's pressuring in your face and not giving you a chance to set up, sometimes it makes it an ugly fight and you tend to get outworked. That's kind of what we saw in his last fight against Ethan Ewing, who turned out to be a stud. Kid's a stud. And it was a good fight. Malcolm Wellmaker had plenty of good spots about him. But the problem is that whereas he's normally used to hitting Chris Moutinho and having him fall over, or hitting Cameron Simon and having the guy hit the deck, like where he's been getting bailed out by his big power, the longer you can extend him, the longer you can make it an ugly fight and try to offensively wrestle. that's where he starts to fall apart. You and I discussed some regional performances from him against, say, a Zachariah Kamara, where he won a split decision, the Taylor Moore fight, he won a majority decision. If you could stand up to his offensive firepower and really get in his face and start to dig on him, that's where it's going to become close and competitive. What Ewing did on ultra short notice is it was a blue-collar type performance where he took Wellmaker's best shots and then continuously returned fire. Juan Diaz is going to be able to do exactly that. His takedown game's not as good as Ethan Ewing's. Definitely not as good as Ethan Ewing's. But his ground game's pretty solid, right? So it's even just about mixing it up. If this guy's hitting you from range and you can step in the pocket, you can land to the body, you can push him backwards, you can land some of these big shots, you can throw your spinning back ups if you want. But the point being is, like, you got to kind of grind up against him as well. Get him up against the cage. If you can take him down, money. If you can't take him down, you're still going to have to just kill some time off the clock because you don't want to be at range for the whole 5 minutes. You want to be, brawling a little bit in the pocket, sidestepping from the outside a little bit and then in his face. It's kind of like all the way in, all the way out. But in this case, all the way out, it's going to get you hit. So you got to be all the way in or half the way in at the very least to condense that space and just not give him any room to really operate with and hit his flow state. So, to me, it's kind of a dog or pass type fight. Like I do rate what Malcolm Wellmaker. The problem that I don't love is with Wellmaker, he is 31 years old. Not old. It's not old at all. In fact, it's the prime of his life. But he kind of went from relative obscurity to the Contender Series, wins in the Contender Series, wins 2 fights in a row in the UFC, collected performance bonuses for both of them. And then there was just a very large expectation. Here's a kid that's undefeated. He's 2-0 in the UFC, 2 first-round finishes, 2 bonuses that he collects afterwards. They're talking about him being a future contender. They're talking about, his striking prowess. And that pressure starts to get to you, being undefeated, having the expectation of, I'm going to be a top guy. And then increasingly, we're going to take on tougher and tougher levels of guys that even somebody on 6 days' notice, who end up being good, can kind of come out there and just make it a gritty fight. And then that's where Wellmaker is going to start to question himself, or at the very least, you'll see some mistakes. Is Juan Diaz capable of doing that to him? I almost feel like he can make it a very close and competitive fight. And because the current line is kind of a little too heavy for Wellmaker, as far as I'm concerned, it feels like it's dog or pass. So I got a lot of respect for the guy. He's got a nasty left hook on him. Very, very fast, very accurate guy. But as far as like a PRP pick, somebody with plus money adds value and most definitely will make it a tough fight and has chances of winning. Feels like Juan Diaz is that guy. So I honestly don't love it, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on Wellmaker this week. So I did end up taking Juan Diaz. Very, very short amount.
Yeah, I clicked Juan Diaz at plus 220 the other day. In the off chance that like the number went away and I was never able to get it. It went down to plus 185 for a bit, but now there's been a little bit of action pushing Wellmaker even bigger. It's plus 234 is the best on market right now for Juan Diaz. Anytime you're going up against Wellmaker, I mean, the guy you're betting could very well just get nuked in the first round. As 100, you have to be willing to die to win in any of his fights. But yeah, Juan Diaz hasn't been knocked out. He seems pretty durable. He's got some flashy techniques of his own. He's got a half decent grappling game. Obviously, a big step up in competition. It's the biggest fight of his career. I backed him on the Contender Series as an underdog in that spot as well. I like what this guy brings to the table. He's still young. He's still developing. And I think he's got some pieces that could cause Wellmaker problems. Hopefully, the number one piece is that his chin basically is able to hold up, withstand some of that early punishment. But
never been knocked out, baby.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like Wellmaker's probably knocked out a bunch of guys who had never been knocked out before they took on Wellmaker. So like, I know exactly what I'm getting myself into here. But yeah, I've got that play on Juan Diaz plus 220. And then, you know me, only human. As the week goes along, like there's no way I'm not going to have a little sprink on like a Juan Diaz round 3 because it's like 20-1. You got to get to round 3, but like if I get into round 3 with a Juan Diaz ticket versus Wellmaker, and Wellmaker's throwing out his best stuff there, wouldn't hate my situation for Juan Diaz to come through and get a late finish in that fight. So we're both on the same page for that fight as well, which is a little bit surprising because that Both picking the same dog. Maybe we're falling for the same trap.
It could
Maybe we're
be.
both super, super sharp. Only time will tell, Code.
Only time will tell.
All right, moving on down. We've got Modestas, Bukauskas. The bout order, by the way, it's just like, I know there's been cancellations and stuff. Like,
Subject to change.
very subject to change. I'm just going off of like FightOdds.pro, what they've got on their odds sheet here. Because that's also what I have in order for the time codes that I keep track of behind the scenes here. But Modestas Bukauskas takes on Christian Edwards, who steps up and in on like 3 or 4 days' notice. Bukauskas a minus 280 favorite to come back on Edwards, plus 240. Cody, your thoughts?
You know what? It's hard to range because on one hand, I've always thought like, Christian Edwards could possibly be good. He's 6'5". He's only 27 years old, so he's still really young. He's a training partner of John Jones. He spent a lot of time in the room over at Greg Jackson's. He's athletic. He's a big man. But yeah, there's no like good X factor to him. His grappling's not very good. His heart is not there. His durability is not there. His striking offense is. He's not a big power guy, for someone who's 6'5" and as rangy as he is, he's more just like a set up the jab from the outside, little kicks, fights like a very poor man's John Jones, where it's like low pace and he's just working on these singular strikes. But because he's so long and rangy, most guys aren't darting in on him. But of course, what we're seeing now is a bunch of these Bellator washouts that you never thought you'd see in the UFC are all of a sudden in the UFC. And then, like, to their credit, Tyrell Fortune won his UFC debut. Beat Marcin Tybura. And Gorkan Sorokin, he won his UFC debut too. He knocked out Tanner Boser. Heavyweight's a division where you can't be like, the UFC heavyweights are better than these other guys. No, they're not. Like, Philip DeFries from KSW comes in and he's a top 5 guy instantly. Francis Ngannou's on the MVP show. He could walk in the UFC and be the champion. Well, Bellator's got a bunch of those guys as well.
Hamdi Abdelwahab got bounced from the UFC, went over to ACA and lost his first fight.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Heavyweights
right?
are, yeah.
It's a bad division.
Christian Edwards got knocked out by Big Tuna, man.
Dude, he got knocked out by Big Tuna.
As a minus 1,600 favorite.
Yeah. And then after that, he loses to Grant Neal, who's Grant Neal had wrestled a little bit in college. Like he was like
undersized,
super undersized. Size of a middleweight, and no big organizations actually picked him up. But yeah, sure enough, Grant Neal hustles him. He tires out. His fight with Rakeem Cleveland, that was the biggest head scratcher. He comes into that one as like a minus 600 favorite. It was at heavyweight, so he weighed in at like 240, a little under 240. And by the third round, it's like Rakeem Cleveland catches him in a 10-finger guillotine choke, old Ben Rothwell style. And again, you see where the quit is in him. I think being as big as he is, he does have that range, but he doesn't really have the explosiveness. And when he does have to move quick, when he does have to shuffle his feet, when he does have to defend takedowns or try to lean on guys, it just seems like it leaves him super gassed out the longer the fight goes. So Ben Parrish knocking you out in less than a minute. Parrish is a big guy that throws. We all like him. He's a big regional scene fan favorite. But of course, losing to Ben Parrish by knockout in 38 seconds as a minus 1,600 favorite, it's not going to do anything to inspire confidence. Grant Neal, I rock with Grant Neal a little bit. I'll give you a pass there. But Rakeem Cleveland, again, a guy that's not even going to cut it in any organization at the high level. And he's able to finish you in the third round in another fight that you're a big favorite in. Since then, he's picked up wins over Jerome Hatch, career journeyman, Jake Collier. Of course, we know Collier is a UFC veteran, but former middleweight that then ballooned up to heavyweight. And this is him at the end of his road. And then he fought Luke Fernandez for the CFFC title. He has a good round. It only ends up being a 4-round title fight because he didn't win 2 of the rounds, so it didn't necessitate going to a 5th. But CFFC rules, I get it.
Yeah.
But all the same, it's like you saw once Fernandez is like, I'm just going to start leaning up against you, up against the cage. He's just too high of a center of gravity. Doesn't have good hip mobility. He's not good at digging an underhook and pushing himself off the cage. And when he is off the cage, he doesn't throw enough to deter you from just storming forward. Like it's just like a jab, a side kick, a oblique kick, a leg kick, another jab. Very, very rare that he's going to throw a nice right hand. And when he does, it looks like he pulls back on it a little bit. So for him to sign to the UFC, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's on short notice. They need a body. Modestas was originally supposed to fight Rodolfo Bellato at 205. Bellato pulls out. They're bringing in Christian Edwards, and they're giving it a catchweight of 215.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So Edwards, who again, he fought at heavyweight a time or two. He generally walks around at 235, 236.
Yep.
He's unable to cut 30 pounds on short notice, so they're
Makes
giving him an
sense.
extra 10 pounds. Him versus Modestas. The thing with Modestas is he's not as single-minded with just pot shotting, but he usually relies on the fact that he's 6'3" with a 76-inch reach to stay to the back and kind of just outwork you from the outside. Whereas Christian Edwards, the best path of success that people have been able to prove on him, the blueprint that's been written on him, is
Getting up
really,
and in.
yeah, get up in his face, push him up against the cage, really fight him, from a pressure style, cause him to have to strike off his back foot, makes him uncomfortable. He's already throwing one at a time. If you don't give him time to set up, he's just completely flustered and off his game. Modestas prefers to stay to the outside and kind of singular strike himself. So he's just going to give him, a little bit of a chance. And then Modestas now floating you an extra 10 pounds, and he's coming off a knockout loss to Nikita Krylov where he kind of didn't look super into the fight.
The
I would just
volume's
say
always just never there for him either. Like,
low volume. And I think you can look at a lot of these fights. It's like, oh, well, he knocked out Paul Craig. It was Paul Craig's retirement fight, and it's Paul Craig. And then before that against Ion Cutelaba, I didn't think he won that fight. I thought Cutelaba won it fairly clearly, ended
and
up
the
being a split
Prachnio fight, he
decision.
barely won either. Oh
Prachnio
no, he
fight,
got the arm triangle,
but he
he's
lost the first 2 rounds
yeah.
against Marcin Prachnio. So you've got a guy that's tenured with the UFC, and that he's been there, he's been cut, he came back, he won 4 in a row. Those wins are over Paul Craig retired, Ion Cutelaba robbery, Rafael Sakaria cut, Marcin Prachnio cut. It's not exactly inspiring to be like, yeah, this guy's a higher ilk than Christian Edwards. Like, Christian Edwards is the guys that he was fighting in Bellator relatively to the same level. Ben Parrish knocks out Rafael Sakaria, or maybe does at the very least. I'm just saying there's not as much of a gap as you may think that there is. And then with Edwards only being 27, he's possibly still getting better. Modestas is not old himself. It just seems like you get the same version of him every time out. So I don't know. It's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. What's the current line that they're floating out on this one?
So
Because
they
there's a short
opened it at
notice.
minus 300.
Yeah,
They
that
opened
that
it.
I wouldn't be on at all.
I mean, now it's minus 280. So it's only moved 20
It only moved
points.
20 points.
I mean,
I wouldn't touch
I would
Modestas at
struggle to
280.
click Christian. Like, if you're getting knocked out by Big Tuna, like if you're not familiar with Ben Parrish, Big Tuna,
He's a big
anybody
boy.
who's listening right now, just Google it, look at his photos, and you'll be like, okay, well, he's a heavyweight at least. We'll give him the pass. He's definitely a heavyweight. But I mean, not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination. That's a pretty ugly loss. And getting folded in
It's
like
5 years ago, though. It's 5 years. He's 22 years old. 22 years old at the time. Now he's 27 years old. There's going to be some improvements of sorts. I don't feel good about it.
I would really struggle to click Modestas at minus 280. So I suppose it's dog or pass, but I'm probably going to be a coward and pass from an actual betting perspective here. What's going to be the PRP pick?
For me, the PRP pick, well, as of right now, I'm gonna put Modestas Bukauskas. At least he's showing me more. But to be honest with you, I don't know. I really don't want to put it on at minus 280. It's not adding anything. And you're putting on a PRP pick. Your PRP pick is a guy that's minus 280. Or then you not say, well, he's almost a 3-1 favorite, so I'll put him on the 4th line and then have him blow your 4th line, even though you didn't like him. So there's not really much you can do with Modestas Bukauskas. I would suggest Modestas Bukauskas by decision, or maybe you can take an over 2.5. But I would feel like an idiot if I took an over 2.5 and then Christian Edwards went out and knocked him out, being like, I could have had underdog money on Edwards and not have to sweat this whole thing. So I'm still internally trying to juggle what I want to do with it. My PRP pick kind of is Juan Diaz, right? And I don't want to be taking a Christian Edwards and a Juan Diaz because now you're just fishing for value and one of them is going to blow up in your face. So Modestas is like the devil you know rather than one you don't. When I watch Christian Edwards, he's not good. He's not good. You're trying to base it on an assumption that because he's young and because he trains at a good gym, and because he's big, that maybe at some point he puts it all together, which is not necessarily the case. Modestas, he takes away a lot of that, you being big. Oh, you're 6'5", I'm 6'3". You got an 80-inch reach, I got 77. Like, he takes away some of those advantages. And then, of course, he is fighting a higher level. I can cry all day and night that he robbed Ion Cutelaba, but, I mean, he's fighting Ion Cutelaba, and he's winning, according to 2 judges, against Ion Cutelaba. That's a little more to me than Christian Edwards' body of work. So if you're a tape study type guy, Modestas looks like he's got the cleaner technique. He's got the better volume of wins. He's not super old himself. Yeah, he's coming off a knockout loss, but you can't fault him too much. The guy was actually not bad that he's fighting. Whereas Christian Edwards is more of narrative nation. Well, he's bigger and he's going to be floated an extra 10 pounds. He's floated an extra 10 pounds. He's not in shape right now. Those are all reasons I would lead you to take Modestas, but at minus 280, you're asking for trouble, really.
Yeah. Let's just move on. We got Benardo Sopaj taking on Timothy Cuamba. Sopaj minus 155 favorite. The comeback on Cuamba plus 135. Who you got here?
Well, Timothy Cuamba is not someone that's ever impressed me, but to his credit, he's young and he's full-time in Las Vegas and he trains with some of the best guys in the sport. And although he's most definitely a fluffer in the room,
whoa,
yeah, it's going to wear off on you eventually. He's picked up some legitimate skills. I mean, his debut against Matteo Vogel on the Contender Series, again, I don't think he won the fight. He got outstruck 67-43, and he gave up the lone fight takedown of the fight. He got his back taken. He got controlled for a bunch of time. How he won, I couldn't tell you. Then he loses to Blagioki by split. Didn't age terribly, but it shouldn't have been a split. Blagioki kicked his ass. Then he loses to Lucas Almeida. That one 100% did age poorly. And just like that, it's like, here's a guy that never really won his Contender Series fight. Shouldn't have got signed. Now, you sign him because Dana signs everybody, and here he is 0-2 in the UFC. Like, there's the proof is in the pudding. This guy's not of this caliber. This guy's not of this level, and he's going to need some seasoning on the regional scene. Again, yeah, he's young. He's born in 1999. He's got a whole future ahead of him, but maybe learning and developing in the UFC is not for him. And then those last two fights, I'll admit, he's looked at it a lot better. The Roberto Romero fight, Romero was a strong physical guy that was known for rallying up, taking guys down, controlling them, stays very aggressive, front forward type fighter. And Cuamba ended up landing like the flying knee in the second round, wobbles him, puts him out. And then his last fight against Chang Ho Lee, again, it wasn't a very good fight, but I think when you look at Lee, at least certainly when I looked at Lee, it's like Lee had taken down Cortavius Romeus twice, smashed him on the ground. Zhang Lao, he took him down twice. On the road to the Contender Series, he had taken down that Dear Miss Zhu Pussy, which I think they're kind of fraudulent takedown numbers, but took him down him 4 times. He has big power. It's like he was a guy that was not really tiring and was getting his takedowns, shooting a lot of takedowns and getting them. Cuamba's takedown defense looked infinitely better. On the feet, it's like, yeah, he's not a big combination puncher himself, but he seems to just kind of land marginally the slightly better shots here and there. He's learning. He's learning on the job, but he's getting to a point where he's a little more serviceable, and betting against him is not the easiest thing in the world. Sopaj, meanwhile, at 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, he's giving up 3 inches in the height department. He's giving up 5 inches in the reach department. He's a little small for this weight class, and that's kind of my issue with him. It's like he can strike. He can come forward. He is physically strong, but he's a tad undersized, so he's constantly got to step in and then whiffs on a lot of the punches. His fight with Vinicius Oliveira, there's an argument he's up 2 rounds. Certainly won the first round. Second round's a lot closer. In the third round, the bigger, stronger guy who's throwing like flying knees. It's one of the nastiest knockouts you'll ever see. I didn't know if Sopaj would ever be okay again, but he's young, just like Cuamba. He's a very young fighter. He's born in the year 2000. Guy's young. He can make the improvements, but him against Ricky Tercios his last time out, again, he got a knock down, and his volume looked pretty good in that fight. But like Tercios is wild. Tercios just kind of fights at his opponent's level, makes a lot of mistakes and then uses his scrambling abilities to get out of harm's way. And I thought he kept it really, really close with him. So against Cuamba, I can fully recognize that I think that Bernardo Sopaj is the better striker. But better striker in what regard? Well, he's got heavier hands. He's got better KO potential. Cuamba's not exactly chinny, A. And then B, Cuamba's got a 5-inch reach advantage. And he uses his jab pretty good. Those little guys that they're prone to knees up the middle. Cuamba likes knees up the middle. He's got a win over Roberto Romero by flying knee. And I'm not saying flying knee, but you see Bernardo versus Vinicius Oliveira. He doesn't like when a taller fighter comes airborne on him because of his short stature. Even when he defends, he tends to dip his head straight down. So Cuamba being at Las Vegas, he's got really good training partners. He's got really good coaching staff. They're going to have a proper game plan that utilizes the maximum amount of his reach advantage and also these knees up the middle to kind of hurt Sopaj. If he can mix in a takedown or two, I'm sure he's going to try. For Sopaj's short center of gravity, physically strong guy, I'm not sure that wrestling really is the plan, as much as he'd have to keep it close and competitive with Sopaj and hopefully have the judges nod it in his favor. And again, it's another fight that you can make a strong case for both guys. It's like, well, which one are you going to end up taking? I don't want to just spam a bunch of underdogs on this card, but I can't just be I can't just be soft and be like, well, I don't like the value on Modestas Bukauskas, but I'll take him. I don't like the number on Benardo Sopaj, but I'll take him. Like at some point, you got to grit down and take who you want. And in this case, I am going to take Sopaj. Simple matter that I think he lands a lot more. Cuamba lands 2.77 significant strikes per minute, right? Benardo Sopaj is at 4.24. He's essentially twice as much strikes per landed. And when you look at Cuamba's last fight, it's like you won, you struck the guy 24-15. That's not enough for me. Benardo Sopaj is not going to land 14 significant strikes. He comes forward. He is aggressive. He should be landing shots, but because it's in Las Vegas, it's in the Apex, it's going to be probably closely contested. It probably will be a 29-28 type fight. I just don't really want to get overly invested in a Benardo Sopaj who I feels a little one-dimensional and not really progressing anywhere. So I know it's the coward's way, yeah, but I do have Sopaj. Just I got to figure out what I'm going to do with it confidence-wise.
That's interesting. I kind of thought that Sopaj is going to actually have success getting off his offensive wrestling going here. And you were talking about Cuamba getting his wrestling going on Sopaj. So maybe I've got to go back and watch a little bit. Pick for me was Sopaj. But a lot of it had to do with the fact that, one, volume, as you kind of pointed out. But two, I thought that his offensive wrestling looked good in spots, against Vinicius Oliveira. And I guess you got 2 takedowns against Tercios. Wasn't able to rack up too much control time or anything with that. But I've never really been a Cuamba guy. I will say that you talk about the size issue and stuff like that. It's like a lot of those earlier fights for Cuamba were all at featherweight. Now he's on a 2-fight winning streak at bantamweight, and he's taking on a 5'6" guy. I don't think he looked good.
It looks good physically. Yeah.
Looks good physically, yeah. He's definitely, he's going to be looking good on the scales. Maybe we'll get a better price on Sopaj, so we don't have to hop on a minus 55 right now. Maybe people see the stare downs on, now let's face it, who's watching? Only certain hardcores are watching stare downs for UFC Vegas 117. But, yeah, it's possible that, like, you see stare downs. You see one guy who's, like, 3 or 4 inches taller, longer, shredded. Maybe you get like minus 130 on fight day for Sopaj. I'd be a little bit more of a buyer than the 155, but I'm still going to go with Benardo Sopaj in that fight. Khaos Williams takes on Nikolay Veretennikov. Khaos Williams is a minus 130 favorite. The comeback on Veretennikov plus 110. Who you got?
I got Nikolay Veretennikov, but with Khaos Williams, it's like when he's on his game, this guy's got fast hands and like devastating punching power. Takedown defense is not bad. He moves his feet pretty okay. But when he's not on his game, he just does not look like he wants to be there. Like, he just goes through the motions. And his last couple of performances, that's exactly what he's been doing. Like, there's no real sense of urgency. Sometimes when you got these heavy power punchers, they're a little reluctant to let their combinations go because they know they don't have to hit you with 3 or 4 good shots. They just got to line you up with one solid heater. And then he spends a little too much time waiting for said heater. The early portion of his career, he knocks out Alex Morono in 27 seconds. I rock with that. Knocked out Abdul Razak Al Hassan in 30 seconds. Wins over Matthew Summelsberger, wins over Miguel Bezo. He knocked out in the 3rd round. But yeah, again, since then, the ones that are most notable are Rolando Bedoya fight. So Bedoya went 0-4 in the UFC and got cut. It was his UFC debut, and yet he gives Khaos Williams everything he can handle. Outstrikes him, outworks him.
May have won that fight.
But loses. Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that he did win that fight, but ends up losing a split decision. I said it was his debut. Yeah, it was his UFC debut. After that, he lost to Song Kanong, Jay Herbert, Jamie Malarkey got cut. Not that those guys are all bad guys. They're not. They're good guys. But, a literal UFC debutant who then got cut after going on an 0-4 run, number 1 fight in the UFC, comes in his debut, out-hustles you, and arguably wins the split decision, but they give it to him. So that's cause for concern. The last 2 against Gabriel Bombfiend, it's like he feels Bombfiend's power a little bit early, and then he's reluctant to engage with him. Ends up getting taken down, ends up getting submitted. Against Andreas Gustafsson, he didn't have the physicality to get his back up against the cage. Gave him 8 takedowns, tons of control time, and then gets, basically tripled up in the significant strikes numbers. When he goes back to his corner between rounds, you can tell them, like, hey, you got to wake up. Like, you got to wake up. Like, you got to let your hands go. You got to show some sense of urgency. But you can see he's almost just deflated, like, the guy doesn't want to engage me. And if the guy does engage him, he's waiting too long to land that big killer shot. So With Veretennikov very much is a striking specialist. This guy is a very fine striker. When guys engage him strictly in striking battles, he's got nasty body kicks, nasty knees to the body, heavy hooks from the outside, sits down on his punches, has an ability to fight 3 rounds if need be. He's not the fastest guy, and his takedown defense is highly problematic. Puilahane Soriano didn't want to engage him, so he took him down 4 times. Francisco Prado, not known for his wrestling, took him down 3 times. Austin Vanderford is a good wrestler, took him down twice. Michael Morales, obviously on the Contender Series, took him down 4 times. That's the path of victory. Khaos Williams doesn't offensively wrestle. So now you're going to have Williams' power advantage, but Veretennikov's got a pretty good chin. He got TKO'd by Vanderford, being that he was stuck on the ground, and he went knocked out. He tried to fight him again as soon as they stopped the fight. So I don't think he's got big durability issues where I'm worried about that big right hand from Khaos Williams just absolutely flatlining him. Instead, I got a guy that's a little more versatile in that he's going to work the legs, he's going to work the midsection, he's going to work the head. He should be keeping, I would hope, a higher work rate. And when you look at some of these fights, it's like, oh, dude, he landed 9 against Soriano. Well, that's because he was getting taken down. 56 against Prado, he's getting taken down. 5 against Vanderford, taken down. On the Contender Series against Michael Morales, it wasn't a bad showing at all, but he gave up the 4 takedowns. You take that off the table against Khaos Williams, and we're mostly going to get a striker versus striker. I feel like that versatility and just being more dynamic, being able to have better shot selection, be able to work all areas of the body, I think he's just going to kind of slowly outwork him. So, yeah, I got Veretennikov to edge this thing out.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because both of these guys, frankly, their opponents always come out and try to take them down.
yeah.
But then now, neither of them, I mean, this is like a little bit more narrative nation. It's like Veretennikov was doing his training camp with Hamzat and Beisinger Susurkayev and Brendan Allen and all of those guys that were running in that camp. Not that those guys looked particularly good on Saturday, but probably has gotten some wrestling work in over this camp, getting those guys ready for last week's card. Is there a world where maybe Veretennikov's offensive wrestling has improved a bit and he's the one who leads the dance here? In a fight that I think everything else kind of counterbalances each other, the hope that maybe Veretennikov can shoot a takedown or 2, steal a close round, is what would get me to side with him at plus 110. But like, as you can hear in my voice and my explanation, like, this is I'm not going to lose my shirt betting on Khaos Williams versus Nikolay Veretennikov this week. So don't come at me with, Paul, you should think about this or that. It's just like, we got an MVP card. There's a 50-year-old woman on Octagon named
I'll save my money for that.
Housewife. Like, I've got plenty of things to throw my money away on this week. Okay,
yeah, I got plenty.
Veretennikov versus Khaos Williams. It's a very volatile fight. Could see it going either way. Give me the ever so slight plus money on Nikolay. Hesitantly. Ivan Erslan takes on George Tokkos. Ivan Erslan, a minus 160 favorite. The comeback on Tokkos, plus 140. Got thoughts?
Okay, so on the book, I predominantly use Ivan Erslan's like minus 180. And it's like, dude, I don't want to pay minus 180 on Ivan Erslan. Cut me a break. He's not good. He's 0-3 in the UFC. What do you want from me? But yeah, if you shop around a little bit, I think the best number on market's minus 160 makes a little more sense. I think we can expect this thing to be competitive enough, but I think Ivan is due for his first UFC win, and his first UFC win he should capture. He's got 14 career victories. I'm pretty sure he's got 9 wins by knockout in the first round. So like, he's got more than enough firepower to chin check a guy and put him out, which I think he's going to do to Tokkos. But at the UFC level, you've not seen him knock out anybody, being that he's fought Ion Cutelaba, former European Sambo champion and a very tenured guy in the UFC. Then he fought Navajo Sterling, who's undefeated and, a rising prospect in the UFC, also 6'5", very tough guy to navigate. And then his last time out against Jimmy Crute, that was probably the easiest fight he's taken. But when Crute's motivated and takes you down, he's got really good grappling. And sure enough, he submits Ivan Erslan in the first round. So it's not exactly been a good run, but I do want to break them all down. So that Ion Cutelaba fight, he's getting taken down, but the longer the fight goes, it's like his scrambling abilities is pretty good. Like, he does get taken down from time to time. Cutelaba takes him down 3 times on 12 attempts. Of the 3 takedowns he got, he only got 1 minute and 59 seconds of control time. On 12 takedown attempts, you controlled the guy for less than 2 minutes. Ivan, meanwhile, got 1 takedown, and plus he reversed one of the takedowns off Ion Cutelaba. He racked up 5 minutes and 19 seconds of control time. So his grappling's really not bad. His ability to either stuff the takedown or get back up looked good in that debut. His fight with Navajo Sterling, right? He gives up 3 takedowns, but it's 3 takedowns, and he gives up 3 minutes of total control time between them. 2 of them come in round 2, where he gave up 1 minute 16. One of them in round 3, where he gave up 1 minute 45. It seemed to me like he was getting taken down, popping back up, doing good. In fact, 2 of the judges, was it 3 of the judges? All 3 judges scored the second round for Ivan Erslan. So he loses a split to Cutelaba in his debut and didn't look terrible. Good get-up game. He wins the second round over Navajo Sterling, who's a really good prospect, a really rangy guy, and won the second round over him. I think that's all good stuff. Now, that last fight with Jimmy Crute, he gets taken down, he pops back up, and then he gets taken down again, and then he unfortunately gets rear naked choked. That one was kind of the outlier of like, oh, his ground game didn't look good there. But Jimmy Crute is a BJJ black belt and is also a much better grappler, I think, than Tokkos. My problem with Tokkos is that he doesn't rely on 1 takedown and you're done. He needs a bunch of them. His top game's not that good. His last time out against Junior Taffa, he got 5 takedowns because Junior Taffa was just getting back up. And in fact, you rewatch the first round against Junior Taffa, it's like he gets an easy takedown. Yeah, a couple times, but he gets an easy takedown, and all of a sudden, Taffa just gets back up. He gets a second takedown, Taffa gets back up. He gets a third takedown, and the entire time he's shooting on the legs, it's Taffa's just hitting him with short elbows, short little hammer fists, all of which is seemingly really hurting Tokkos. But again, this is all in the first round. He finally gets the takedown, a nice one, and he passes straight to mount. Taffa doesn't know what he's doing. He bellies down and gives up his back. Tokkos takes the back up against the cage. There's 10-second clapper goes off. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. At 7, Taffa literally just rolls into him, and for 7 seconds starts hitting him. Tokkos looks done. He's saved by the bell. Now, Taffa doesn't really have much of a ground game, and yet he's able to reverse and get on top. And he's able to create space and get back up. And then in the second round, Taffa's so gassed out, Tokkos takes him down and submits him. But against Ivan Erslan, I wouldn't be banking on that, man. You probably will take him down at some point. If you got a book that's got a, over 1.5, over 2.5 takedowns for Tokkos, I can see him hitting that. It's that I don't think he's going to get a takedown and rack up 3-4 minutes of control time. I think more so likely he's going to have to duck down, get to the hips, get Erslan up against the cage, try to peel him down, and then where you got to hold him down, Erslan may spend a minute and a half, God forbid, 2 minutes. But I don't think much more than that. I think he's going to create space. He's going to get back up, and when he gets back up, you see Tokkos against Taffa his last time out. He's a little bit hurt, but they're in the first round. They're in the second round. He's gassed. Him versus Navajo Sterling, he's gassed. Him versus Umar C, who's a busted prospect, choked him out in the first. Zhang Mingyang, I feel like this fight's going to look more like that, but just one of these bruisers standing that's going to throw clubbing overhand rights, that hurts him. He stands a little too tall. He's a little too upright. Although he's 6'4" with a 76-inch reach, he's 2 inches taller and 4 inches longer in the reach department. When you look at Ivan next to Navajo Sterling, he doesn't look that much smaller than him. So I don't really know where one guy's, 6'5" and the other one's 6'2". It looks like this is a pretty heavy set guy himself. So it's tough to say I'm going to bet minus 180 or more better number, minus 160 on Ivan Erslan, a guy that's 0-3 in the UFC, been finished in just one. He only just got subbed his last fight, I guess. And really, I think he's only been subbed twice in his entire career. The other one is Thomas Narkun, the former KSW champion. He's fought 5 rounds for the KSW title. He's shown durability in a lot of his fights. I think you could look back at the fight with Jimmy Crute and say, oh man, it was a really bad performance. But his entire body of work is, this is a durable guy with a decent gas tank and good get-up abilities. And those 3 things are kryptonic to Tokkos in his game. So I feel like Erslan's, maybe has a bad first round, maybe gets taken down a few times, but inevitably he's going to return to his feet, club him with something, hurt Tokkos, or doesn't hurt him, but takes him into the round 2 and round 3 and just tires him out. And when I got him tired, then I'm going to hurt him. Erslan by TKO. But you can already just, I don't know if I want to get greedy with and chase the specific prop, but I also don't want to pay, a near 2-to-1 money line. So I feel like I got to do something to improve the number.
Well, the book that you regularly play at is the book that has the minus 160 on Ivan
Well, then
Erslan.
it moved 20 points in the last hour because I,
Yeah.
I looked at it an hour ago and it was
Well,
minus. You have the exact.
your humble producer, am
Yes,
looking
yes.
at the odds in real time when I say them, and a lot of the times it is the book that most of the times it is the book. The line that I am saying is the book that you tend to use.
Yeah,
They tend to open
they
most
got great
things.
first numbers that they're
Not
not
going
a
to say
great.
their name because they're not
Yeah.
paying me any money.
Right, screw them.
People know.
Yeah,
People
of
know.
course. If you're serious about it, you gotta have a serious book. It gives you lines on multiple sports, and although if you're looking for better live betting, it's a terrible live betting
Oh,
book.
horrible
It's
live
one
betting.
one of the worst live betting, especially if you're trying to actually make money
You
and
can't
not
make
just
real money. Like
nah, you're
you can't make high stakes wagers in live markets. I
right.
mean, it's a third party thing that they use. Like you can't really fault them for that. They just can't be bothered to offer
Yeah, but
that
it's like that on
service.
everything. It was halftime of the Super Bowl or something, and it was like, I'll put a live bet in. It was like there was like $100 limit, but it's the Super Bowl. What do you mean there's
Yeah.
$100 limit? It's just because it's live betting. They just
Yeah.
right away cap you, do $100. So
And
I'm
it's
not complaining because I thoroughly enjoy the book. But yes, if you're serious, you maybe have to have a book for openers and a book for regional show stuff and a book for best market price. And Paul, of course, has got some greasy Lithuanian books that are good for some other stuff. And
I haven't been
the
playing too
payouts are
many.
not very good on those books,
I
though.
haven't been playing too many greasy. I've gotten tired of the cat and mouse game of one, you get kicked out of those greasy
Yeah.
Lithuanian books, and getting paid is just it's like all is well and good when your email transfers are heading in there. And it's just like the moment you start trying to pull some money out, it's just like they need to know, where your mom, like they need your mom's birth certificate before they can like do it. And just, you end up getting paid, but it's just like they will drag it out. Like they're dragging it out like 2 weeks sometimes in the hopes that like you will trip up and then they don't have to pay you. But it's like
Yeah,
I've been through this game so many times. So it's
yeah.
just like I'm not going to trip up. Just like let's speed this up. They don't really answer. I've gotten tired of, I don't really throw my money into every single sports book like anymore. I've been lightening the load on that front because it's just a lot of these places aren't worth the headaches these days. There's
Yeah,
too
well,
many
they
sports
don't.
books out there, and there's too many sports books that frankly probably shouldn't even have any customers whatsoever. I've
Well, I mean, the
always been
customers.
paid. I've never been stiffed. And I played at over 50 plus sports books over the course of my life. I've never been stiffed once. I've had many situations where I thought I was going to, but never actually been shortchanged. Sometimes it's been like a month passed by. I'm like, those guys are never going to pay me. They stopped responding, so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, like an email transfer would come through. So,
Yeah, they're not happy about it, but they're like, it's like, well, can I get paid? It's like, okay, how do you want to get paid? It's like, I don't know, like,
the way that I paid you
yeah,
would be cool.
Can I get a crypto transfer? They're like, no. It's like, can I get a bank transfer? They're like, no. I'm like, can I get a check in the mail? They're like, no. I'm like, well, how do you want to send it to me? I send it to you via drone. And you're like, yeah, they're angry.
You meet
people.
Boris in behind the back dark building.
And
Like,
Boris tells your location and he sends drone. And you're like, I just don't want a drone showing up, man. Just give me money.
I don't want Boris to know where I live. Like,
Boris
come
the
on.
Blade. Like, come on, man.
There's you
Why
gotta be careful out in those streets. But yeah, I've never actually been stiffed. I've heard a lot of these other people on like these credit books and stuff like that. Credit books run by like anonymous Twitter accounts. Like I've never went down that path. And I've heard of recently some people getting stiffed by those things. Just like that's a level of greasy I've never been willing to go down. At least all these things are like companies that have like, they have commission status in some regulatory place on earth. Like just giving some dude on Twitter money and be like, how do I know it's good for me? Trust me, bro. Trust me, bro, isn't enough when you're throwing thousands of dollars around. But that's
Yeah,
neither here nor there.
I'm not taking action by Frankie Four Fingers. Do you know why they call him Four Fingers, Paul? Because he's a degenerate gambler. Yeah, we don't have to spend too much time on this,
No.
but right, pick and choose wisely where you put your money.
I mean, if you're in like a legal market, like you don't have any reason to go outside of your legal market. Maybe dip your toes into a bet online. I said I wasn't going to say their name, but I mean, yeah, there's pretty much, this page, it may get lost on it, but just like this page of books that is usually up on the screen here, it's just like you're not going to have any trouble in any of those books that are listed on our thing right here.
You will have trouble, and I can't stress this enough because I talk to people all the time. They try to paint themselves as the victim, but it's like if you hit a line and you knew that the line was incorrect, you knew the game was over, but they left it up, and you think like,
yeah, past posts are different.
They're going to ban you, and they're going to take the money, or they're going to refuse to pay you. And then they say, oh, man, I got limited. I got banned. Because they're seeing on your account, this guy's hitting lines that got pulled, or this event start time was listed at 3 and they bid it at 2. And how do I know this? Because I've done it myself and got banned by a book one time. But that was a long time ago. The main thing is you can't be stupid enough to be like, they're not going to notice. They always notice. It's their job. Someone's job is to go through these tickets. If they say it was over 8.5 and they pay you out and it's under 8.5, you know what most people do?
People who withdraw.
I'll spend the money. I'm going to spend the money before they reverse it. So they do.
But then they give you a negative balance. Exactly. I mean, the people who do that or they withdraw, it's just like, I mean, you're just gonna like.
Or people will be like, man, look at my exchange with customer service. And they're highly aggressive. They're like, give me my money or I will find you. So immediately the book is like, you're banned. I deal with
this person.
Yeah, and then it's like, but you stole $160 that I had in my account when you banned me. And they're like, well, they banned you because you got talking all sorts of crazy. Shout out to my buddy Greg, because he does exactly that. He's banned from books all the time. And like, he'd be like, well, this is what they told me. And it's like, one, you're very clearly talking to a bot. And two, you're getting real personal with this bot, man. Like, just chill out.
100%. My buddy Bo, he's like a pro sports gambler, and just like over the years, he's been a bit of a mentor to me. And the one thing he said to me and like taught me, and like what is 100% true, especially when you're dealing with these sketchier books, is like, be nice to customer service. Like, especially at these sketchier places, it's like, it's not legal. It's not DraftKings. It's not FanDuel. It's just like, if you're rude to them, like, they're just not going to help you. They're just going to ignore you when you come through asking for some sort of help. Like, I always go out of my way to say please and thank you. It's like, you want those people to want to work with you. Like, if that makes any sort of sense. So, like, I mean, back in the day, I would have been yelling and screaming and kicking my feet about certain things when I went into customer service. Now it's just like, I usually wait around to see if like somebody else will get that situation rectified. And if it doesn't and I have to go in, it's just like it's like I'm meeting, my mother-in-law for the first time. Like, it is as friendly as humanly possible, and you usually get way better results. So the customer service people at sports books, they have a tough job. Usually most of the people that they're talking to, like, you almost throw them off by being friendly, right? Because like usually people are like, you got to fix this. You got to, like, people are so threatening. It's just like, these people are holding your money, and you are putting yourself in a situation where they don't really want to help you because you're being a jerk. What you want them to do is like, they feel bad for you because they like you. That's the situation you want to put yourself in. Easier said than done. It can be really frustrating in certain situations, but take it from somebody who's been in and out of like 50 sports books over the history of time. You will have way more. You'll catch way more. You'll catch way more flies with honey than vinegar or something like that.
Yeah,
that's 100% how it works with sports books, man. Just be nice.
It's the same thing with you're dealing with the police. If they say put your hands where we can see them, just do it. I'll tell you my quick little story. We can move on to this little Tommy Gantt action. Yes. My grandpa, God rest his soul, nicest guy in the world, religious and always does rosaries, and everybody liked him. And, a man's man, good dude. Well, my uncle, my grandpa's son, my dad's brother, he's a lawyer, right? And so he would be like, yeah, I went to court, and he knew, I know my rights, I know my laws. So he tells my grandpa, he says, listen, you get pulled over. Cop comes over to your window and says, roll down the window. You don't roll it down. You don't have to roll it down. You say, talk to me through the window, buddy. And then he's going to say, let me see your license and registration. You say, fuck you, pig. My grandpa says, John. I'm not saying that. He said, Granddad. You say, fuck you, pig. I know my rights. Anyways, my grandpa does it one time. It doesn't work, Paul. It doesn't work at all. Okay? Just be a good guy. You roll down your window. What can I help you with, officer? Oh, did you know you're going 72 and a 60? I didn't notice that. Well, it's just 12 over. I just wanted to make sure everything's good in the car. You seem like a fine old man. Go ahead on your way. The second you get the fuck you, pig, I know my rights. They don't really take too kind to that, nor do they give you any sort of benefit of the doubt. So
same strategy, Cody, works with customs agents. When you're crossing borders, you're at the airport, or if you're driving over into America, yes, sir, no, sir. Don't give them anything more than what they're asking for, but be very polite and cordial in the process of doing that. At least that's what has worked for me.
It's funny you say that. So, I went to BKB in New York 3 weeks ago, and my dad was driving with his buddy in the front. And when I go across, they're like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, I'm going down to the casino, and they got BKB on tonight, and it should be a really good fight show. And I'm from Canada." And they're like, "Yeah, buddy, here, just take this slip and just drive under that overhang over there." And then they rip the car apart. But I'm there with my dad. That's happened to me a few times, by the way. That's happened to me 3 times. So with my dad, they're like, "Where are you going?" He's just like, "To the casino." They're like, "How long are you going to be here for?" He's like, "We're coming back tonight." He's like, "Okay, bye." That's it. I was like, "Oh, you know what? Just shut your mouth. Just yes, sir. No,
yes, sir. No. Give them what they want.
Once you get
don't
talking,
give them anything else.
There's somebody in the truck.
Know your answers, though. If you're staying overnight, you got to know your hotel that you're staying. Memorize all this stuff. You don't want to be flipping over a phone. You gotta know your stuff. You're rehearsing these things in your head before you have the interview. It's an interview. Anyway, we're obviously wasting time because
speaking of interviews, this is a good one coming up.
It is a very good interview. We got Thomas Gantt taking on Artur Minev. Minev's coming in on super short notice here, but they former Fury champion stepping up and in to take on DC's boy Gantt. Gantt's a -235 favorite to come back on Minev +200. What are your thoughts on this one, Cody?
I got Gantt. I think this fight's going to be unbelievably boring, just the way that their styles match up. I honestly, Artur Minev's 22 years old. He's the Fury FC champ, as Paul mentioned, but I don't like him at all. I don't really see what his game's made out of. He throws one shot at a time. That's it. 15 minutes is a long time to fight, so you may see him throw a 3-punch combination once or twice, but 95% of his game is one single punch at a time. Jab, jab, one low kick, one right hand. That's about it. It's a very, I wouldn't say necessarily low volume as much as it's never more than one at a time. Then he relies on trying to offensively shoot on you. Shane Keefe, Junior Morale, to a lesser extent, Derek Campos, he got that one done with his striking a little easier. But he wants to get to the body lock takedown. He wants to get you up against the cage. He wants to drag you to the canvas. His fight with Junior Morale, right? So Junior Morale was 6'1".
I had Morale as a 12-1 dog in that fight, and he dropped him. He dropped him in round 2. The problem is Morale couldn't wrestle. So it's just that's kind of what that fight came down to in the end. And that's I knew that was the risk going into it. I just couldn't understand why it was -2,000. And we almost cashed plus 1,200 dog, I believe, on Junior Marinau in the Bookie Beatdown Discord on that one.
Wow, I mean,
so close, so far, still lost, but no regrets.
No, still, man, he gave up a really good account of himself. And ended up being a majority decision. One judge had it a draw on the account if he scored the second round at 10-8. But yeah, in that round, Morale stuffs the takedowns. Then he drops him with a right hand to the side of the head, almost to the temple. You see Minev's legs go. He starts reactionarily taking him down. He manages to take him down despite being on rubber legs, and then instantly gets caught in not so much a triangle, but it's he ends up going high guard, elbows to the face, switches it to an armbar, and then the round ends. So it's like, oh my God, Journeyman Junior Morale is giving him everything he can handle. Rounds 3, 4, and 5, because it is a 5-rounder. Like Paul says, it's like Junior's 6'1". He's got a high center of gravity. He's a skinny guy, and especially up against the cage, there's zero takedown defense. So he relies on just taking him down and holding him down. But his striking looks very rudimentary. His wrestling looks fairly basic, where he's a little stronger than a guy like Morale. He's younger than a guy like Derek Campos. Now that you're in the big leagues, you're in for some trouble. Tommy Gantt, meanwhile, his striking's not exactly progressed all that much either. It's not that he's a bad striker. It's that I don't think he's very confident in his striking. And the only reason I say that, it's not like he's using it a whole lot. His bread and butter is his wrestling, and then therefore you're going to try to submit you or ground and pound you. But you'll see him throw 2-3 punches and then just shoot immediately into a takedown. So like what happens if he has to strike for a prolonged period? I don't know. I would say Minev may be a better striker than him, but if you're just throwing one at a time, it's not going to deter him, dude. He's going to shoot under it. He's going to try to take you down. Looking at his wins, I think looking at his entire career, it's like this guy was a D1 All-American at North Carolina State. And then beyond that, he was a Pan American gold medalist. He was a World Cup bronze medalist. He's trained at Syndicate over in Las Vegas, and he's obviously, of course, trained at Gilroy, California with Daniel Cormier. He's Cormier's guy, and the guy's got good cardio, good chain wrestling, really good athlete. Thing is, he's 33 years old. Now, he's only been fighting, and I mean amateur and pro. He's only been fighting for 3 years. He turned first amateur fight in 2023, fought 5 times in 2023. Since 2024, he's racked up 11 professional wins. And I understand people will say, dude, Paul Teague's 1-11. Skylar Mauer's 2-6.
He was the North Iowa Fights champion, Cody. Well, I was watching some of those fights earlier. North Iowa Fights, I don't know how that commission, like we've talked about it before. That promotion is like the most egregious for like setting up absolute can crushing that you'll find like in America. That Northern Iowa or North Iowa Fights promotion is outrageous. You go through like their cards and it's just like first round finish, 30 seconds. First round finish, 20 seconds. Everyone just goes there to pad their stats. As he did, but
that is the place to go pad their stats. But it's not so much pad their stats. I want to be very clear on this, right? So it's that, and I've worked with these Uber prospects before, and even if you don't consider him an Uber prospect, imagine being the matchmaker. And I'm not saying you're the UFC matchmaker, and you're not the PFL matchmaker, you're not the One Championship matchmaker, you're not the Octagon MMA matchmaker. You are the New Line Cage Fighting or North Iowa Fights or Showcase MMA matchmaker. How many guys want to fight a D1 All-American who's a Pan Am gold medalist and a World Cup bronze medalist who is in his 30s? How many guys want to fight him? Nobody wants to fight him. So the guys that agree to fight him are 10-40 John Kennedy, 7-10 Montreal James, 8-23 Cody Carrillo. Because the reason why is that a guy that's 6-1, he don't want to fight Tommy Gantt. He knows if he just wins 1 or 2 more, he get on the Contender Series. Or he knows he could win 1 or 2 more and get an LFA title fight. They're not looking to fight Tommy Gantt for $1,000 and get wrecked. Meanwhile, Cody Carrillo is 18-23.
Well, that was on RCWC Halloween Brawl 8.
But the point being, that's good. The point being is, and yes, it was. The point being is that Cody Carrillo doesn't lose any sleep that he's now 18-24. Doesn't matter. You need these long in the tooth. They have a bunch of losses because he's getting paid $1,000 or maybe $2,000 to go lose another fight. Well, he's not protecting his record. He knows what he is. He's 18-24. You know, at least North Iowa Fights gave him this John Henry, who was 11-7, and that, quite frankly, is one of only 2 guys that he fought that had a winning record.
He's chunky. I was watching that earlier today.
Well, and then here's another thing, right? So he fights on the Contender Series at 155. His fight prior, Devin Paulson, is at 175. He fought Anthony Benavidez at 170. He fought Josh Henry at was supposed to be 170. Cody Carrillo was at 170. He fights a lot of 160, 170, and a highest being 175-pound catchweights. Yeah, he's fighting bums, but 1, this is not his call. Those are quite literally just the only guys that are accepting the fights. 2, he's having to move up a weight class or 2 to fight these bums. Because that's just staying busy and accruing experience. So when you see him against Adam Livingston on the Contender Series, that's his essentially his lightweight debut. This is him at his best, and like he didn't look great in that fight. He shoots a bunch of takedowns. 2 or 3 of them get stuffed off the get go, and then Livingston grabs the cage, and then Livingston grabs the cage
They
again,
take a
and
point.
they take a point. They threaten to take a second point, and then by the 3rd and 4th takedown, they're getting way easier, and then he grabs the guillotine choke. And I think that's the path here against Minev. Is it's not take him down and sub him. It's not knock him out. It's just chain wrestling this guy. Minev is 5'9", and that's a generous 5'9". He's not that big. Whereas Tommy Gantt's 5'11". Tommy Gantt's got a big reach on him. Tommy Gantt's a better athlete. And I do like he's not a funk style wrestler, but the way he uses the leverage, the way he ties up his opponents up against the cage, the way he drops down to the single legs, loves outside trips, loves little foot sweeps. I feel like as long as he does not gas, and with a good athlete, with a good team, with a good game plan, like if he just sticks to him like glue the entire time and gives him no space to work with, I feel like he could just drown Minev. The problem is that's going to be very boring. It's going to be boring to take down, mat return, take down. He separates, throw 2 punches, shoot another takedown. But that should work extremely well in the favor of Tommy Gantt. I think he does exactly that. If for whatever reason he starts to tire, or if for whatever reason the takedowns aren't easy as we'd like them to be, then I go back to Minev's not really he'll show knockout wins, but he's not really throwing any type of dynamic technique. He's not really sitting down on a lot of these punches. It's that he's fighting an older veteran fighter who's been knocked out a few times, or he's fighting an 0-0 guy that's never been knocked out before, but has never been hit in the head. Like that's literally my only worry about Tommy Gantt is he's faced zero adversity, none. So if he does get hit, can you confidently say that he's got a good chin? No, you can't. If he gets pushed into the 3 rounds, especially after a big weight cut to 155, are you confident that his cardio is rock solid? Maybe not. So why jump in on him? It looks like he's giving you every indication that he does have all those skills. He does have all those accolades. He does have that talent that he can draw upon. And again, he's a bigger guy and he's a better wrestler. Minev wants to wrestle himself. That's his style. He's Ukrainian, but he don't fight like a Ukrainian. He's lived the last 5 years in the U.S. All of his pro and amateur fights have been in the U.S. This guy's fighting a grinding type style, and he's going to get a much better physical specimen, much better wrestler, much better agile guy, a bigger body. It just feels like Gantt's got a lot of attributes. But if you're hesitant on it, I think you take the over. Gantt shows a lot of finishes, and Minev shows quite a few finishes himself. I think the average person would probably think this fight is either a Minev by knockout or a Gantt by submission. But when I see them how they match up against each other, it's going to be a lot of cage control and grinding, and that typically leads to the over. So it's an overplay for me. It's a Tommy Gantt play for me.
There is no, at the time of this recording, there are no. That was actually when I ran through one of the notes that I made in advance. Is like, I'm curious. It says Gantt Minev over ?
Yeah,
because I don't really see the power and I think Minev, at least at this stage in his career, is super, super young, may have some durability issues as we outlined in the Junior Moranhow fight. The other question that I have, and because of the pedigree that Gantt has in wrestling, it's like I just haven't really seen Minev taken down, controlled in that department. But that speaks more to like the level of competition that he's been going up against. I imagine, this is going to be by far the best wrestler that he's ever taken on. So there's definitely a leap of faith if you're going to take on either side here. Give me the guy who's actually been preparing for this card, not taking the fight on short notice, who hasn't really shown me the durability issues that is a concern. With Minev, who I literally faded as a minus 2,000 favorite and almost won in round 2. Give me Gantt as well, but very interested to see when that total opens up, because it's very possible we get like a close to a pick'em like a close to a pick'em and a 1.5. So I would love to get in on like an over 1.5 rounds at like minus 150 or above. So we'll see how they open it up. But at the time of this recording, let me just refresh one more time to see if anybody has dropped anything. At the one place that they would open it up if they were to post it. Still no total. All right. Next fight up, we got Ketlen Vieira taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti, a minus 165 favorite to come back on Vieira, plus 144. Who you got?
Yeah, we had a joke discussion a few weeks ago where I was like, I wish they told you who the judges were before the fight. And then, of course, it was like, nah, then the mob would get a hold of them before the fight and you'd have a whole set of problems. But this one really comes down to who are the judges that are looking at this thing. Because on one hand, Jacqueline Cavalcanti's got volume for days. She lands just under 6 significant strikes per minute. She put up 80 against Maribona Silva, 73 against Julia Avila, 91 against Josiane Nunes, 126 against Zara Farn. She's got a way more striking. She lands way more volume. Yes, all 5 fights have gone to decision. She's 5-0. All 5 I've seen the judges' scorecards. But, I mean, she's got a high work rate. She's pretty big for the weight class. Her takedown defense looks like it's improving. But most definitely, she's going to have the edge in strikes landed. Ketlen Vieira, this is one of the weirdest stats you'll see. She's had 14 fights in the UFC. She's been outstruck in 12 of the 14 fights. She's got 9 wins. She's been outstruck by the significant strikes numbers in 7 of her 9 wins and all 5 of her losses. But I mean, like, going way back when. Sarah McMahon outstruck her 29-17, but then she got the sub. Kat Zingano outstruck her 59-41. Sinjara Eubanks outstruck her 69-68. Misha Tate outstruck her. Holly Holm outstruck her. Raquel Pennington. Penny Kianzad. Kayla Harrison, almost all of them have outstruck her. She lands, by comparison, less than 3 significant strikes per minute. So you have someone in Cavalcanti that lands almost 7. It's like 6.5. She's going to double her up, almost certainly. What Souza does, though, that makes her dangerous is standing cage control. It's not really wrestling. It's standing cage control. Against Norma Dumont, she only got 2 takedowns, but she got 5 minutes and 19 seconds of control time. Against Macy Chiasson, she has 0 takedowns. She got over 10 minutes of control time. Against Holly Holm, 1 takedown, 10 minutes of control time. Against Raquel Pennington, 0 takedowns, 5 minutes of control time. She just holds you up against the cage. That's what she does.
And in the apex, less likely to get booed and separated.
Less likely to get booed, and it's a smaller cage. And so you don't really got to travel that far to get a hold of her. And then you're going to press her into the cage. And then, yeah, she's going to be landing more because the acoustics in there, you can hear it. But it's also just like there's the room gets deflated where it's like, oh, man, this girl can't do anything about it. Sousa's just holding her up against the cage. And so when I watch Cavalcanti, she's actually got some good size. Like, I think, Ketlen Vieira, I keep calling her Sousa. Ketlen Vieira, she's 5'8", she's physically strong, but like Cavalcanti's 5'8" as well. She should be able to go out there and match some of that physicality. When I watch Ketlen, it's like, you know, big Norma Dumont's a big gal. Macy Chiasson's a big gal. Kayla Harrison's a big gal. That's kind of the styles that they've been matching her up against. Jacqueline looked really good against Buena Silva, who's on the decline. Julia Avila was 40. It's the Nora Cornole fight. Nora Cornole gets a takedown, but she got 1 takedown on 8 attempts and racked up over 3 minutes of control time up against the cage. So to me, it's like Ketlen Vieira will probably get her up against the cage and will probably shoot multiple takedowns. And, you know, she probably gets 1 or 2. But even if she does not get them, she's very content just pressing you into the cage. Whereas anytime they're at range, Cavalcanti's going to be landing jabs, straights, kicks, and just higher work volume. Even up against the cage, she's going to get smothered, but she'll be landing short little slaps to the face and short little elbows. It really comes down to what judges you got. Are they looking at 10 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight? Or are they looking at 4 minutes in the open space, but you landed more significant strikes? The girl's got 9 wins. 7 of them, she was getting outstruck. So like that's nothing new to her. She has a way to pull out these split decisions in fights that she's otherwise losing. Her fight with Penny Kianzad, she got outstruck, but she won because she got control time. Her fight with Holly Holm, she won a split decision after 5 rounds. She got outstruck, but she had the control time. Misha Tate, 5-round fight, got outstruck, but had some control time. I'm a little bit nervous that she's got the right style to just smother Cavalcanti up against the cage and give her 0 space to operate with and ends up winning at 29-28. the reason that I end up going with Cavalcanti is that even in the Apex, like if they're not lying to us and they're saying, especially in Las Vegas, it's damage over control time, there's nothing to see here. There really isn't. You've got one girl in Ketlen Vieira who's nearly 35 years old. She's coming up on her 35th birthday. She's got one of the most boring styles in the game. The UFC's not looking to market this girl long term. She had her chance. She beat Misha Tate. She beat Holly Holm. That was 5 years ago. Since then, it's been the decline. Whereas someone like Jacqueline Cavalcanti, she's 28. She's still improving. I thought her takedown defense looked a lot better in her last fight against Maribuena Silva. Interesting note is like Julia Avila took her down and she's a BJJ black belt, took her down and got a minute and a half for the control time. Maribuena Silva shot 4 takedowns and got a minute 12 of control time. You watch both of those fights, it's like her footwork's improved a lot. She's good at getting her back up against the cage. She's a lot faster than these girls. And being that she's also roughly the same size as Ketlen Vieira, I feel like if she can use some of her own physicality to just pummel and get your back off the cage, get into the open space, she's going to be landing all day long. If the judges look at it and say, okay, Cavalcanti outstruck Vieira 20-10 that round, but Vieira had 3 minutes of standing control time, well, then there's nothing I can do about that. There's not. It's in their hands. If I got the two types of judges that say she landed 20 significant strikes, the other girl landed 10, she doubled her up. Yeah, you're holding her up against the cage, but you're not doing anything. Short little knees to the thigh, short little foot stomps. She separates, she hits you with 2-3 good punches. What's the best punch of the round? Cavalcanti. Who landed more strikes that round? Cavalcanti. But who held her up against the cage? Well, I can't make a decision based on what the judges might be thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm just really hoping that it is damage over control time. And if that's the case, there's no doubt about it. Cavalcanti is going to outland her. But there's a good probability that she will give up the control time. So you just got to figure out what you like more. I would consider making this a dog or pass type play where it's like, why not just take control time and you're getting plus money out of it? Possible. But again, Cavalcanti's 7 years younger, is making improvements. It's a far better striker. Takedown defense does look like it's improved. Athleticism is definitely a lot better than Vieira's. Make her work, make her pay. Outworker is the name of the game here. Pick up a 29-28. So Cavalcanti, and then drum roll, please. She's 5-0 in the UFC with 5 decisions. So do you think she's going to finish Ketlen Vieira? No. Who's trying to hold her up against the cage the whole time? No. You're going to take Cavalcanti. You're going to take Cavalcanti by decision.
Yeah, what's her decision prop's probably not that different.
I would imagine it's not.
I took the fight ends in split decision.
That's a good one too.
It was only plus 400, but like for this fight, I'm just like, honestly, 1 in 4 times between the two of them, I think there's probably still value there for all the same reasons. It's basically plus 100 for Cavalcanti by decision.
Well, Cavalcanti's had 1 split decision in the UFC already. Ketlen Vieira's had 5 split decisions in the UFC.
Exactly.
So
that's why I'm just like mathematically, like most of the time fight ends in split at like plus 400. Maybe if you have other books, you're gonna have a better price than what was available to me. But based on Ketlen Vieira being involved in the fight, like I don't think it's actually that far off. So I took a shot on that. Cavalcanti for the more volume, the more impactful strikes over the course of 15 minutes. I mean, the over's already gacked up to minus 500. So that's how I'm approaching this fight. Cavalcanti by split decision, contentious split decision. But yeah, I actually didn't even play Cavalcanti by split. I did play the fight ends in split because it's like I don't want the judges ruining my day if it turns into a split. We got your favorite Cody Brundage taking on Andre Petroski minus 200 for Petroski. Brundage somehow keeps getting fights because he keeps saying yes. Is plus 170. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I'm actually got. Sorry, I'm gonna take. Sorry, Paul. I just puked in my mouth. I got Cody Brundage. I know. I don't like it, but it's dog money, and I think he's got a really winnable fight here. You know me. My relationship with Cody Brundage. Love fading him, and it's worked exceedingly well his last 4 fights. But that being said, and I literally mention every time he fights that he could be 1 in 10 in his last 11 fights. Like Julian Marquez should have knocked him out. Mouthguard came out. Abdul Razak Al Hassan should have been a win for Al Hassan. Zach Reese powerbombed him. Jacob Malkoun was on his way to smashing him. Like, other than Trayshawn Gore, he's really not like ever really. Well, he did knock out Zach Reese. I get it. He did knock out Julie Marquez. I get it. But like, this guy's a fart in the wind away from losing pretty well every time he steps in the cage. He is not good at all. And I always question his heart and his durability, and he fights so often because he just looks for the first way out before he really, endangers himself. His coaches are constantly like, why will you not listen to us? He's uncoachable. He goes out there, he does his own thing, he makes a fool out of himself, and he generally loses. There's a reason why he's 1-6 or 1-7 in his last official 8 UFC fights. But yeah, I think this one's a really winnable fight for him. When I look at Cody Brundage, they've given him a lot of weird matchups. Like, technically speaking, he's up 2 rounds against Mansour Abdul Malik. And then there's a headbutt in the third. It ends up being a no contest. But Mansour Malik's got an 80-inch reach. His fight with Eric McConaughey. I mean, I had McConaughey, so I'm glad they gave it to McConaughey. But Brundage may have won that fight. It's a split decision. He gave an okay account of himself. And McConaughey's got a 77-inch reach. And it's really not bad. He's on a good little run right now. Cam Roston is 6'4". Dante Johnson is 5'8". Like, he's never really fighting anybody his own size. He's not really fighting anybody his own skill set. Like, he's not really fighting these, I'm a college wrestler who throws one punch at a time and it's a right hand. Like, he doesn't ever really fight his own prototype. He's always taking on these, like, really long guys, or these really short guys, or these really high-level grapplers, or these really high-level, Bo Nickel high-level wrestler. Like, it's been a very strange deal of matchmaking for him. But I will be the first one to say this, as somebody who fades him all of the time. Very rarely do I fade this guy where it's like, that was so easy. Against Mansour, it ended up being a draw after the fact. You won money if you bet it that night. Point being is like, oh my God, dude, he's like an 8-1 underdog and he's about to win. And then he got headbutt in the third round. Against McConaughey, dude, he's about to beat McConaughey. And then I got a greasy split decision. Against Roston, that was a little bit easier, but like, he almost buzzed Cam Roston a few times with the overhand right. He had a speed advantage. He didn't look terrible, but more so the Dante Johnson fight. He's a 10-1 underdog, and he holds him to a split decision. There's glimpses here and there. He's fast. He's got a decent overhand right. Does have that college wrestling experience. The problem is that because he's 6 foot with a 72-inch reach, I'm not trying to brag here. I'm like 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. This guy's 6 foot with 72 inches. So when you're taking on McConaughey's 6 foot as well. 5-inch reach advantage. Mansour Malik's only like an inch or two taller. He's got a 10-inch or he's got an 8-inch reach advantage. When you see Cody throw punches, they're always overhands and they always miss by a foot because he's taking on these longer, rangier guys. Petroski's his size. They're both 6 foot. Petroski's got 1-inch reach advantage. Petroski's kind of flat-footed, stands in front of you. Petroski does not like to get hit at all. Very, very, very reacts poorly. He's bad at dealing with adversity. He's bad at dealing with accruing damage. And when he wins fights, he uses his little college wrestling background to shoot a quick takedown. Well, you're wrestling. I'm not saying it's worse than Brundage's, but it's kind of the same level. And wrestling is very exhausting. And the thing with Petroski is like he's a week, he's a month, maybe he's a month away from his 35th birthday. Yeah. He's 1 month to the day, not to the day. His birthday is June 12th, so he's 29 days away from turning 35. He's got a lot of muscle on him, so I don't think he likes to wrestle. He's never scored more than, outside of a fight in 2022 against Wellington Turman, he's never landed more than 3 takedowns in a fight. Against Butka, who wrestled in college, Josh Frem wrestled in college, he just gets his 3 takedowns and he holds on. That's it. If he does that against Brundage, gets 3 takedowns, Brundage can't get back up, and then maybe he wins this fight. But if Brundage can at least just stuff the takedowns and make him work, Brundage has actually got a better gas tank. Brundage has arguably got better durability. He cracks sufficiently hard that I think he can touch him up with that right hand. He's got an okay guillotine choke. He does train at altitude. Although he loses all the time, he's very active, and he's 4 years younger. So I'll be perfectly honest with you, Paul. There's really nobody on the roster that I would bet Andre Petroski is a -200 favorite over. He's not my kind of guy. So there's value in Brundage, but also just when you look at the style clash, it's like Brundage looks really bad against these long guys, these guys that are top prospects, these guys that are going to go on to win fights in the UFC. Whereas Petroski looks like it's the end of the line. Frem got cut, Butka got cut, Rodolfo Vieira is on the verge of getting cut. The Malkoun fight, he knocked himself out shooting a takedown. The Shabazian fight, he couldn't out wrestle Edmund Shabazian. He gassed and he got knocked down. And then that last fight with Cam Roston, I rock with Cam Roston. He's a volume puncher. He's not really a knock you out in less than 3 minutes kind of guy. He picks and he plods. In fact, people think he's a power puncher because he smashed guys like Cody Brundage and Andre Petroski. But Petroski, like everything that he threw landed and he just crumpled over. I have a nagging suspicion that not only will Cody Brundage win this fight, I have a feeling that Cody Brundage is going to finish this fight, catch him with an overhand, and knock him out. So, yeah, I know it sounds crazy. Like Brundage round 1, Brundage KO in round 1, under 1.5, Brundage straight up. There's many ways you can attack this thing, and they're almost all plus money. So, nobody hates me more than me for saying this. Cody's going with Cody on this one, Paul. Bumdage. And you know the greatest thing with Bumdage is that he's now lost 4 in a row. He's 1-7 in his last 8. He will win this fight, and he'll get a new 4-fight deal, and you'll get to see 3 more Bumdage performances, Paul. So it's called being a cockroach. You can't stomp the guy out. Finds a way to scurry off and live to fight another day. That's Brundage. Can't lose all the time. Here and there, you got to win one. This is that one. I think he can win. And he's got to make 2 out of this. He's an underdog. He's plus money. He's got a wife and a kid at home. He's about to get cut. And then what are you going to do? Go fluff in the PFL? KSW's not taking you. Octagon's not taking you. Even if these organizations did take you, you're going to come over there and get drubbed by Michael Materlo or somebody, and then that's going to be the end of it. You know what Paul Pawlik would do to this guy? He would kill him. Yeah. That's not going to be the career for you. You got to stick around the UFC and fight middling guys every other week, make those paychecks, and hope to God that you get a finish bonus or a performance bonus or something. But kind of feel like he's actually going to save his job somehow, and we'll be able to break down more Cody Bumdage fights in the future, because that's just how it goes.
They need somebody to call on short notice. The only reason why Bumdage still has a job is that he says yes. He shows up, he takes whatever fights, and he says yes, and he'll show up. He'll fight anywhere on, like, the UFC, despite his, you know, some of the antics that have went on in some of his fights, the UFC likes that he's probably pretty easy to deal with. The funniest thing about this fight is that, like over the last week, it opened up at plus 160, went up to plus 180, down to plus 170. It literally, this is like the walking definition of like two-way action. There are people going like, I could never bet Cody Brundage, and I don't really blame you. And then there are people going like, but Andre Petroski minus 200. It's Dogger Pass as gross as it is, but I'm gonna join you in that in the round 1 and Bumdage by KO prop, because Petroski knocked himself out on Malkoun's hip that one time. I don't think it takes all that much.
Malkoun doesn't knock out anybody, and he knocked him out with his hip. So you're right.
What he does lack, he at least he throws heavy. He throws heavy if you want to engage him. Petroski could totally win wrestling, but we've seen Petroski's gas tank be kind of an issue. His fights kind of wear on. So Bumdage KO, love it.
Michelle Pereira knocked him out in 1 minute and 6 seconds, and that is Michelle Pereira's only knockout win in his last 15 fights dating back 7 years. Knocked out one guy, minute 6 seconds, Andre Petroski. And you know how Pereira's not that good at 185. Minute 6 seconds. So, I think his durability is suspect. He's 35 now. And last but not least, Paul, if we need to get this thing done on a squeaky split decision, 1, they just love Brundage. 2, the other guy's quite literally got a hammer and sickle tattoo on him. You're not going to get much favoritism with most people. I think we're both in agreement. We don't like it. Nah, we're going to take it.
And that KO prop covers disqualification
Oh, baby.
There is disqualification equity in that Brundage by KO prop. That
100%.
I need to have, if it's a Brundage fight and I'm going to be betting that side, I need that equity. I 100%. Don't be playing like, well, watch now he's going to go get a sub, but be very unlikely if you got a sub unless you just caught him in like a flat guillotine or something like that. But yeah, like the sub wouldn't cover the DQ typically. It's usually the KO that you need for those disqualifications because Brundage he's gonna weasel his way. He's gonna weasel his way. Hopefully he weasels his way, and then we can complain about Brundage in 2 months from now against some other jabroni, and we're like, oh my god, he won a fight, so now he's reset to like at least another 3 fights.
Oh,
Brundage is never gonna retire. He's with us for life now.
He'll weasel this one, and then he'll get Sursakayev in his next one, and he'll lose. And then they'll give him Yusri Balgarui, and he'll lose that one, and then they'll give him Azamat Bakoev, and he'll win that one. You know, like he's just a survivor, Paul. He finds a way to just survive long enough.
100%. All right. Your favorite fighter, Alice Ardelean, takes on Polyana Viana. Ardelean is a minus 200 favorite to come back on Viana, who's mostly just a OnlyFans contributor at this point.
They both are.
You see a lot of content at the gym. I don't know how hard. One of them seems like committed to the game at this point. The other one, like you see Polyana Viana on Instagram, TikTok, doing videos with Johnny Walker and stuff. I'm sure she's at the gym. I'm sure she's putting in some work, but like, we haven't really seen I don't think she's making way more money from Instagram or from her OnlyFans at this point. You won't see a post of her in the gym without wearing her OnlyFans t-shirt. And she's literally just, at least the last 3 fights, against higher level of competition, don't get me wrong, getting finished in every single fight. Hard to back Ardelean at minus 200. Hard to back Viana at any price at this point. Where are you at with this fight?
Well, this is the super sad thing about the status of this card, but you mentioned earlier you like Nicole Cagliari. We'll talk about in a minute. As being like, this is one of the better picks on the card. I actually also feel about that with Nicole Cagliari, and I feel like that with Alice Ardelean. I feel like they're the 2 best plays on the entire card, which makes me feel sickened. You got Cagliari's 0-3 in the UFC. Ardelean's 2-2 in the UFC. 2-2. She's 34 years old. She's got very limited amounts of success. And yet you're picking her at the top. You're picking her as one of your more confident plays. Like, why is that? But it's like you said, man, she's a really hard worker. She's not exactly the most skilled girl, and she fought a lot of cans on her regional show career. She's got her OnlyFans, and she's got her Instagram, and she seems like she's got other stuff going on. She's a bit of a comedian, like sketch comedy. But damn, dude, this girl, she works really hard. Like, she goes to the gym, she puts in the hours, she's constantly working on everything. And then, like, to her credit, she's kind of starting to find the swing of things. Back in the day, she had fought Zhang Weili. She wasn't like she was just can crushing her entire career. She's just not that good. But I want to say in her debut against Shauna Bannon, awful fight. I mean, awful fight against an awful fighter. Why would they even sign this girl? Her second fight, she fights
Melissa Martinez.
Right. Whose brother David Martinez is like a top guy in the UFC. This girl knows how to kickbox. This girl's got, she was like a 3-time Mexican kickboxing champion, like a national champ. It's all good. And she actually outstruck her 92-72, gave a good account of herself, but lost the fight as well. Since then, Ryan Dos Santos, who's a natural atom weight, but, stuffed the takedowns, took her down, and she landed 154. Last time against Montserrat Ruiz, Rondon, or Conejo Ruiz, sorry. She, gets a takedown against her, but lands 138 significant strikes. Overall, she averages 7.3 strikes landed per minute. She's strong. She's physical. She comes forward. Her grappling's improving. And although I didn't really rate her wrestling at all, is that she is very physically strong. Like, size-wise, she doesn't seem like she's the biggest girl in the division. She's 5'3", with a 62-inch reach. Not exactly big. But it's her short stature that allows her to really generate a lot of power. Like she's physically strong for this weight class, even though she's not one of the bigger girls in said class. I think, as we talked about, her work ethic, her being able to, when you're 34, you're not making a bunch of improvements before fights, but she is, because she went from no level to a championship level where she's now having to prepare and train twice a day. I feel like she really does soak it all in. Viana, meanwhile, she's just, good looking, I guess. But when you want to talk about weird stats, here's the weird stat on her. She's got 4 wins in the UFC. All 4 of those wins are in the first round. All 4 of them. And those girls combined for a 5-14 UFC record. So like Jinyu Frey was 2-6 in the UFC. Mallory Martin, she's the Octagon champ now. She's not bad. But 5 years ago when they fought, she's not good. I think she went 1-3 in the UFC. Emily Whitmire. The kids used to call her Emily Shitmire, Paul.
Yeah.
She's 2-4 in the UFC. Maya Stevenson, as Joe Stevenson's ex-wife. She just lost the one fight. She's 0-1 in the UFC. She's fought in the absolute bare minimum, bottom of the barrel. And if she wins against that level, it's got to be in the first round. Outside of the first round,
she falls bust pretty much. I know she did knock out Frey with a nice combo there, but like for the most part, like Viana wants to she'll just welcome you into her guard, and she's trying to pull off arm bars from guard and stuff. Things that, frankly, even we used to joke about it in women's MMA. It's like stuff just doesn't work anymore, even in those divisions. It just doesn't work at the UFC level. It's just not working out for her.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's like we used to bill her as a BJJ champion because that's what they would say. They would say she's a jiu-jitsu world champion. She's a black belt and she's a jiu-jitsu world champion. And she lost to Hannah Cyphers as like a 3-1 favorite. It was like, wow, Hannah Cyphers, quite literally just old tough Carolina gal who just dogged her. She just dogged, that was it. It wasn't more technical. It wasn't better. It was just, I wanted more than you. You don't really seem to be that interested. Veronica Hardy armbars in the first round. Then she's armbarring girls in the first round. Armbar from guard, as Paul mentioned. Well, that's 2021. Kind of worked in 2020. Kind of worked in 2021. But just like men's MMA, it starts to evolve. Well, armbars from guard aren't even working in women's MMA at this point. So you can't just simply get away with that anymore. But her last number of fights, these girls are all better grapplers than her, and they're physically stronger. Jillian Robertson's just a lot stronger than her. Take her down, get on top, ground and pound. Jacqueline Amorim's very small, has good jiu-jitsu. Gets her down in the second round, gets on top, grabs the rear naked choke. Yasmin Lucindo, not even really super known for her grappling prowess like the submissions. Second round, arm triangle choke. And so there's another interesting thing. Her 4 wins are all in the first round. She's currently on a 3-fight losing streak, and they're all in the second round. It's like just get her out of the first round, and her game just seemingly falls right apart. Against Ardelean, I would suggest, yes, she does have the better grappling, but I don't know that she's physically strong enough to just peel Ardelean down and certainly do it at will. On the feet, you got a girl that lands virtually nothing. She averages less than 3 significant strikes landed per minute. She's very, very low volume. Outside of the win that Paul mentioned against Jinyu Frey, and by the way, Jinyu Frey is also a former 105-pound champion, very small. Outside of maybe catching her in 47 seconds, like she's not really shown an ability to strike for a prolonged period or to put up any type of significant volume. So in terms of this ends up being a striking match, Ardelean's going to beat her. In terms of who's going to dictate where this fight goes, is it on the feet or is it on the ground? Well, I feel like Ardelean's physically stronger and has better wrestling. In terms of who's got the better jiu-jitsu, yeah, maybe Viana, but we've also seen her finished a number of times. And Ardelean very much fights like a Hannah Cyphers. She's just tough. She's tough. She's rugged. She comes forward. She's going to outwork you. That's what Viana doesn't do particularly well with. She's not a hard worker. She's not setting up her own lights and her own camera and logging into her OnlyFans and shooting the shots and editing it and tagging it and talking with her fans, Paul. She doesn't got that kind of work ethic. She's got team around her. She's just lazy, hangs out, little titty over here, last cheek over there. Get the job done, make the money. But yeah, this is a prize fight. And Ardelean's actually got like a lot of Instagram followers, and she has on OnlyFans, as gross as that is. She's doing this because she wants to compete. This is how she identifies. This is how she lets out some of that frustration. She's quite funny, to be honest with you. She's very likable. And I think for the UFC, it's like Viana's done. 1-4 in her last 5 fights. Been finished in 3 of them. Not old, but not really turning the needle. Not someone we can really. Where Ardelean's doing the interviews, she's making some media. She's on a 2-fight winning streak. She's kind of getting better and better every time out. You don't want to get too invested in this girl, but honestly, I think styles make fights, and she's got a really good style to just out-muscle and bully Polyana Viana. So, as I say that, armbar first round incoming, but hopefully it'll be for Ardelean, and she get the job done one way or another, Paul Shaughnessy. So I am going to go with Elise.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to bet Polyana Viana, the submission round 1 prop would be like, that's how I would get involved in something like that. Because that's probably most of her win condition these days. Like, that's mostly what she's looking for. She doesn't really want to drag fights out. She doesn't really have a complete body of work. It's mostly like try to catch you in something quick. Otherwise, she just kind of fades away. We got Daniel Barras taking on Luis Garule. Pretty much a straight pick. Current price, Garule ever so slight favorite, -113, -107. You got a hot take here?
Yeah, someone's got to win a fight here, right? I think it's Garule. I understand he's another one of these. He's 0-3 in the UFC, similar to we mentioned Ivan Erslan before. And, it's not like he's terrible. It's just he was undefeated prior to coming to the UFC. It looked like he was one of the top flyweight prospects outside of a major promotion. He's the Fury FC champ. He jumps on the Contender Series. He beat that Nick Pincinini, which at the time, woof, it did not age well. But at the time, it was a good win. It was a good win. And his cardio really looked good in that fight. He got taken down 10 times, but he landed over 100 significant strikes, pushed him hard to the 3rd round, landed the more damaging blows, wins the split decision. Against Ode Osborne, he won the 1st round. Comes unglued in the 2nd, gets caught. Against Jesus Aguilar, he took way too long to get going. And the same thing against Alden Correa. So Alden Correa is the man. The guy's really good. And then kudos to Garule. He looks done in the 1st. He looks done in the 2nd. The 3rd round was actually his best round of the fight, where he managed to land 27 significant strikes, which was more than he landed in round 1 and 2 combined, right? It was like, his cardio is good, and he is fighting the mark against a young, good prospect who's a lot more dynamic than him. It's just giving up the early rounds. The fight with Jesus Aguilar, it's actually almost the exact same thing. The first 2 rounds, he gets bummed up. The 3rd round, he lands more significant strikes in the 3rd round than he did in the first 2 rounds combined. So, being that he was fighting for Fury and it was a 5-round fight situation, he's the champion, I almost feel like if he's not really realized how to get off to those hot starts, as a result, he's only coming alive late in the 2nd into the 3rd round and becomes a little problematic for him. Against Daniel Barras, it's going to be much the same. Barras has no gas tank. He's a 1st-round guy. Dude's actually pretty good in the 1st round. Plants his feet, wings, just murderous hooks from the hip side. He's explosive. He's physically strong. Doesn't know how to pace himself. He's a 37-year-old flyweight. That's never going to be good. Despite only being 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, he does very much struggle to cut weight. And I watched all these fights back. Him versus Carlos Hernandez. Man, he looks good in that 1st round in the Contender Series. The 2nd and 3rd round, he just gasses out. Him versus Jafel Filo. He knocks down Jafel Filo early in the round. It looks like he's about to knock him out. 1st round knockout. As soon as that doesn't materialize, he gasses out and he gets subbed. Against Victor Altamirano, he won the round 1, got a knockdown. Won round 2. Round 3, he got styled on, right? Almost got doubled up in significant strikes. Against Andre Lima's last time out, it's the exact same thing. He doesn't actually win the 1st round, but his 1st round's his best round. His 2nd round, you can see the seams starting to come off or, come apart. And then the 3rd round, he done. Garule, very slow in the 1st round. So this is a great opportunity that Garule probably will lose the 1st round. And if Garule loses the 1st, but it's not like he doesn't get knocked out, and it's not like, oh my God, he's so much better, he's so much faster, he's so much stronger. Just make this guy work. If you do exactly that, you're going to win the 2nd, you're going to win the 3rd. You could get a 3rd round stoppage. I know some people like those exotic tickets, Garule round 3, specifically TKO round 3. I think it's on the table to just make this guy work, tire him out, take him out. When you watch Barras on the regional scene, it's like he's got a lot of power and he seems like he's a striking-based guy. When you see him versus Carlos Hernandez, of the 5 takedowns, he went 5 for 16 on takedowns. The 3rd round alone, he shot 9. It's not who he is. He's trying to overcompensate and wrestle too much, which tires him out. Against Filo, he tries to strike too much, he gets submitted. Against Altamirano, he doesn't try to grapple at all. It's only striking. He still gasses it. I feel like this is a guy that doesn't really know how to intertwine his skills. He doesn't know how to blend striking to his grappling. At 37, gas tank's not likely to get better. He's had some injuries. He's had just one fight over the last 2 years. It's not really a spot that I'm looking to back Daniel Barres. Gurule, meanwhile, yeah, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, but Alden Corey is good. Jesus Aguilar is certainly not bad. Ode Osborne is okay. All three of those guys would whip Daniel Barres. And with those guys, it's like the third round comeback's not enough. Against Barres, it'll be more of a second and third round comeback, and it'll be more than enough. So they could have cut Gurule. Why not? I think they look at it as like, this guy's actually a lot more talented than his terrible middling 0-3 record would suggest. He's always said yes to the tough guys. He's took a round off Ode Osborne. He took a round off Jesus Aguilar. He almost took the third round over Alden Correa. Some people call him Korea, whatever. Don't really care. Point being is they got to throw the dog a bone. This kind of seems like that bone. Barres is not an easy fight the first 5 minutes. Becomes a lot easier after that. So, yeah, I'm going to take Gurule. And then, yeah, you don't see him wrestle a ton, but he does take down over Ode Osborne. He did take down Alden Correa. I think it's not a bad idea to go out there and just lean on Barres, make him carry your weight, make him work, and that's just going to lead to him gassing out faster. So, do the right thing. Do the right thing, Louis. If you do, I think he picks up the victory.
Yeah, we're really scraping the bottom of the flyweight barrel here. A contender series is coming, and this is one of those fights that they're given a bit of an old dog in this division a bone, because both of these guys are pretty long in the tooth for this division.
32 because it's flyweight. I hear what you're saying.
32 is pretty old for flyweight,
but you're not wrong. It's like, where did we get Louis?
And then 1988, so Barres is
37.
Wow, you're ancient at flyweight at 37 years old.
One, it's like you said, Paul, they got contender series coming up. So it's like, well, where did we get Gurule? It's like contender series. It's like, and where did we get Barres? Contender series. And how are they both collectively doing? They combine for a 1-5 record in the UFC. It's like, yeah, well,
winner goes on and then fights the best flyweight guy that you pick up off of contender series in his next fight. Like that.
Yeah. Well, they're giving him his little layup, and then if he wins that, yeah, no, you don't get 2 layups, Paul. You get back to work, bud.
100%. Finally, we got Nicole Cagliari taking on Shauna Bannon. Cagliari's like a -230 favorite to come back on Bannon, +195. I mean, my mentality for clicking Cagliari is, one, she went to split decision against Ernesta Carnicate in a fight that she was at least competitive in that fight. Shauna Bannon, on the other hand, I know, it's more of like a cardio kickboxing class out there. She's touching you. There's really no heat, no tenacity behind any of these strikes. And that moment, she ended up getting the armbar. But when she got dropped by Puya Tomar, I made a vow to myself. I'm like, I will never put a cent on Shauna Bannon in the UFC. Made money in some way, shape, or form, I'm sure, by backing the Sandpage. Can't even remember what the odds were on that fight, but I can guarantee you I was on Sandpage. Even at chalk, I'm sure I was on Sandpage. There's no way I clicked Bannon. And we're continuing the Bannon fade here in Cagliari, who is giving up length, who is giving up reach. Volume hasn't been great, but I think she can mix in wrestling. I think she's had some pretty tough fights in here, like Ernesta and Judice. Judice is one of the better, up-and-coming prospects, I would say, in the division, who throws just an insane amount of volume. And, getting finished in round 3 is never really all that pretty, but Judice is a problem. Presents a lot more power in those strikes coming back than what Bannon's going to be throwing out there. I think Cagliari can get it done by wrestling, probably keep it competitive on the feet, maybe not in the numbers, but be a cold day in Missouri before I back Shauna Bannon again. Cody, where are you at with this fight?
Yeah, same thing. So Cagliari fits this group of fighters that I'm backing this week that like haven't never won a fight in the UFC. Ivan Erslan's never won a fight in the UFC. Cagliari's never won a fight in the UFC. Luis Garule's never won a fight in the UFC. Cody Brundage is like 1-7 over his last 8 in the UFC. Like we're taking pretty well the worst fighters on the UFC roster because somehow they've managed to find the one person that is plausibly worse than you. And that's what we're getting. Cagliari, I don't mean to shit on her. She's not like super old, but yeah, she's had a lot of close fights. Like on the Contender Series, she fought Canadian girl I'm very familiar with, Corinne Laframboise, who's a BJJ black belt. And she was able to take her down twice and ended up getting the armbar. But it was like, okay, you subbed a BJJ black belt, not bad. Against Ernesta Caracate, and you basically describe Caracate when you're talking about Carly Judice. Young, tons of volume for days. In fact, Caracate has a win over Carly Judice in just an insane volume type fight. Holding her to a split decision, taking her down 3 times, getting some control time, largely, she got outstruck, no doubt about it. But like 67 is not a terrible number. What I was kind of more impressed with was even though she lost the fight, is that she shot 14 takedown attempts. It's just against Caracate, she only landed 3. Against Carly Judice, she got 1 takedown, but she attempted 8. She's down to wrestle. Just against good prospects and girls that have infinite gas tanks and are physically strong. Like Carly Judice is a D1, not wrestler, but she was a D1 athlete, played softball. Ernesta Caracate's got a lot of kickboxing experience. Both these girls are very, very high volume. And so it's not enough just to score a takedown. You also got to keep a high work rate. Again, it's like, I'm not going to fault her. She's fighting good girls. And to a certain extent, she does give an account of herself here and there. It does really seem to come down to the grappling. On the regional scene, she had finished the early portion of her career. It's mostly knockouts. The secondary portion of her career, it's all submissions. And I do think that's where she's most comfortable, getting the fight at the ground, try to grab a submission. In the case of Shauna Bannon, as Paul mentioned, Puya Tomar knocked her down. So like I think Cagliari could step into the pocket and knock her down. But the easiest path would be catch one of these kicks, convert into a takedown, set up shop on top, and go to work. And that's exactly where I think it's most effective. Shauna Bannon has never taken down an opponent. She shows 0% takedown accuracy. 1, she's not trying. 2, she can't. Second thing is she's showing a below 50% takedown defense, only 40%. So if you shoot 5 takedowns on her, 3 of them are going to get her down. And that's kind of the issue with her. Bruna Brazil took her down twice. Elise Ardelean is quite literally teaching herself how to wrestle during the fight and took her down twice. And Sam Hughes took her down twice. Now, Paul, who's a very smart man, he made money on that Sam Hughes fight. Cody lost money on the Sam Hughes. And I'll tell you why. Because I really thought Sam Hughes would win a decision. That's what Sam Hughes does. She decisions girls. She smashed right through Shauna Bannon. She took her down and absolutely clubbed her, took her back and choked her out. She made Sam Hughes look like Ilia Topuria. It was like, oh, man. I think that there are levels to this, and Shauna Bannon ain't that level. She got smoked by Sam Hughes. And I like Sam. Sam can win fights. But the nature in which she lost, bad news. Puya Tomar had her this close to finishing her. Elise Ardelean, it's her debut, and she held her to a split decision. None of this bodes well. I understand that Mama B, she was, I don't understand she's friends with McGregor, but she was getting some time in an SPG, and she's a single mom, and not my kind of looks, but she's pretty to a certain demographic of people. And I think that they thought maybe she was a little bit marketable, but I'm picking up exactly what Paul's putting down, is that it's point-based fighting. She's a point-based karate stylist. And kind of the coolest thing about her, the only thing I actually do like, is that she jabs with her feet. Like she's got this like stabbing side kick. It's like side kick, side kick, side kick, side kick. She could throw 5 kicks to the face. They're not crescent kicks. They're not roundhouse kicks. They're not spinning back kicks. They're not axe kicks. It's quite literally like it's a side kick, and it just comes to your face. She's got good distance management, and she just hops this kick out, hops this kick out, hops this kick out, hops this kick out, spams it really all day. So against Cagliari's either going to step in, time one, and clobber with a shot, put her down, jump on top, capitalize, or she's going to catch one of these kicks, take her down, and capitalize. If you're having trouble getting a beat on her, if you're having trouble catching the kick, press her up against the cage. If you're willing to shoot 8 against Carly's Judice, if you're willing to shoot 12 against Ernesta Caracat, that's the name of the game. Not every takedown is going to land. You have to stick to the wrestling. You have to stick to coming forward, getting up against the cage, killing that space. Because without the space, Bannon's got nothing. Last but not least, Bannon does get taken down, and what? She throws up an armbar like Puya Tomar? Well, that's probably not going to work on Cagliari, who's just got the better grappling, physically stronger. Isn't caring for one child all by herself, man, it would be massively stressful. I understand I got 3 kids, but I got a wife. If I was by myself, oh my God, where do you get the energy? Tough. In Bannon's case, she is 33 years old. She's not exactly young. She's not exactly showing any improvements. She shows virtually no power. Other than the one submission win over Puya Tomar, she's not really shown much of a grappling prowess. She's a fish. She's a fish, and she's waiting to get scooped up. So Cagliari, good spot to get her first win. And narrative's nothing. It really is nothing. But it seems to me like Cagliari could use a win because she's serviceable within the division. They're getting her one. Garule's 0-3 in the UFC could use a win. They're setting him up. Ardelean needs to fight just bottom-level girls to win, and they gave her one. Brundage, such a company guy. Let's give him a winnable fight. They gave it to him. Like, a lot of these fights are kind of set up like, no, the A side's not good, but they've managed to find a legitimate B side that is a little bit less. So, for a Wednesday, still got 3 days before the fights. For a Wednesday, I'm less confident in what the order is going to be because you can make arguments against a lot of these guys.
The biggest favorite on the card is minus 275 on a 13. Like, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, and it's Malcolm Wellmaker.
There's no quote unquote LOCKS. I mean, I guess Bukauskas is minus 280, so he would be, at the current time of this recording, would be the biggest favorite. Nobody over minus 300 on like a 13-fight card. That's incredibly rare in modern UFC.
Right. And it's incredibly rare. It's like none of them are ranked. It's not like, it's the 8th best guy in the division against the 13th best guy in the division. No, like there's 41 UFC flyweights on the roster, and it's 41 versus 4. I'll tell you the exact number. Anyways, it's like Garul is the 44th best UFC flyweight fighting the 41st best UFC flyweight. Cody Brundage is the 53rd best middleweight taking on the 50th best middleweight, Andre Petroski. Like, we're not talking about good guys fighting good guys. We ain't even talking about mid guys fighting mid guys. We're talking about low-level guys fighting low-level guys. And in some of these cases, low-level gals. But yeah, the bottom line is you're going to get low-level. The thing is, historically, I've done a lot better on low-level fights, especially at the UFC level, than these big pay-per-views. So, a guy like Khamzat Chimaev will let me down, but I don't think Ivan Erslan will. So let's talk about the PRP poll. I'm going to go Arnold Allen, Daniel Santos, Juan Diaz as the PRP pick. Modestas Bukauskas, Benardo Sopaj, Nikolay Veretennikov, Ivan Erslan, Tommy Gantt, Jacqueline Cavalcanti, Cody Brundage, Elise Ardelean, Luis Garule, and Nicole Cagliari. Officially, there's a couple even money plays, so it's not like, I know I always say, you need a few underdogs, but there's a few even money plays. But, effectively, Brundage is the underdog. Nikolay Veretennikov I think he moved to favorite. Yeah, again, you got a lot of these 50-50 picks. Juan Diaz is an underdog. I don't know. I'm not getting caught up in the need X amount of underdogs because it's like Paul said. It's like there's 13 fights and the biggest favorite is less than 3-1. So just get the right picks is the main thing. And of course, there's a lot of value assuming you can be on the right side of things. So that's kind of it for me. I'm going to keep an eye on some of these over-unders and, round totals plus money. It feels like the last couple of weeks, especially the straight picks, it's like you can hit a plus 260, you can hit a plus 300, you can hit something singular that's really not so bad instead of having to rely on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys coming through. But no excuse. Let's go ahead and hit the PRP this week, Paul. It'll be a nice one.
Yeah, you'll that PRP will pay very nicely. But you gotta the entire card is a landmine. There is question marks and cuts around the corner for just about everybody, outside of like maybe the top 3 fights on the card. But that is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.